Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back, and we are joined today by Ron Clark for our 7th Survivor Edge of Extinction Tell-All. We're very excited to have Ron on here. Ron, you've been making like your way around. You've done like everything, I feel like. I was reading your AMA today, and I'm very excited for you to tell everybody the easiest way to make an alliance right off the bat before the marooning even happens. That was by far my favorite part of your AMA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know how you and Julia had that
right?
instant connection.
The what?
How you and Julia had that instant connection.
I'm sorry, with who?
Julia.
Oh, with Julia? Oh, when I touched her butt?
Yes,
yeah,
that was that.
Okay, you're breaking up just a little bit, but I know the story you're talking about. So yeah, Julia and I were on the boat, and we're on the boat for like 3 hours, just like cruising around, and I'm miserable, and I had to pee, and so I know Eric said the same thing, but I had to go on the side of the boat, and there's like 100 cameras. There's a drone right in front of me, just like hanging down like right in front of me as I'm trying to go to the bathroom off the side of the boat. Everybody's watching me. Everybody can see me. And I got stage fright, and I just couldn't go. And I was there for like 15 minutes. Everyone felt so sorry for me. And then I just never went. And I'm just holding. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm older. My bladder's small. My bladder's big. So anyway, you get the point. So I go back over there, and I'm standing there, and they're about to start filming, and they told us to position ourselves. So I try to do this like strong pose, and I go and I take a hold of this buoy, and I'm sitting there, and I'm holding on to the ledge, and I'm just like watching, and all of a sudden I turn and look, and I see Julia look at me. I look down, I was grabbing her butt. I thought it was like a buoy or something, and she looks at me, and I was like, we bonded because up until that point, she thought I was very stuffy because I'd been so quiet at Ponderosa. I just kept to myself. So that was our first interaction, and we were bonded ever since.
Yeah. So what you're saying?
I cannot hear anything.
Can you hear us now?
Now.
So I think y'all might be frozen.
Well, Alexa, I can hear you. I see Ron as a little bit frozen. Now he's back. Your whole story was good. You just broke out at the end. All right, Alexa, talk. I've lost Ron completely.
I know.
Well, this is live. This is our intro. This is our intro into the Ron Clark podcast. I don't know what happened. Well, for anybody who's going to be going on Survivor anytime soon, Ron pretty much just told you the easiest way to end up getting
to make an alliance.
To make an alliance is just grab the person's butt who's standing right in front of you.
I guess so.
That's all you have to do. Let's see what's going on here. We're having technical difficulties, but
we sure are.
For anybody who can hear us, we're just gonna keep on.
Yeah, keep talking. On. That's funny that either Julia or everyone's first impression was that Ron was stuffy at first. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I wonder what that was, and we'll have to talk to him when he comes back in. Hopefully, happens shortly. This is a start unlike any other.
This sure is.
Well, Alexa, what else you want to talk about?
I don't know. Gamer Girl just said she can hear all three of us.
Well, I could hear all three, but now I can't. Ron's not moving at all for me.
Yeah, same. Okay, he might be disappeared. I don't know. He's on a good. He's got a good still of his face. If he's in the middle of saying something impassioned, which is that's what it is.
Exactly. He could probably. Oh, he's calling me. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Alexa, keep the conversation going. I'm going to mute myself.
I'm going to keep the conversation and I'm going to let them talk. So for those of you who have been wondering what we've been up to, after this, we've been recording a lot of podcasts for our $20 patrons. So if you were on the cusp of becoming a $20 patron, we highly recommend it because what we're doing is we're doing a season 40 winner profile for every single winner. So twice a week, every Monday and every Thursday, throughout the entire summer, we're going to release one like 20 or 30 minute winner profile about each person who's coming in on season 40. We're super excited about it. Obviously we're going to be talking about 39 as that season gets closer, but it is the summer and everyone knows that 40 is going on. So we're going to be talking about that for a lot longer. We just recorded our $10 patron podcast earlier this week. We talked about who's had the toughest road in Survivor, and it's winners or non-winners, just who had like the worst luck, like toughest draw. And that was pretty fun too, because we talked about like people who we're not used to really talking about. And then for $5 patrons, we're now doing 2 Q&As per month. We're doing one where it's just me and Phil, and we're doing a second one where Robert's going to get involved. And so if you guys have any burning questions for Robert, we usually have a Q&A thread in our Facebook page. So if you're a $1 patron, you can join our Facebook page and ask these questions or post about whatever you want. So yeah, it's a good time to be a patron. I know it's the summer. We want to keep giving you guys some good content. We think at some point in July, we're going to give you guys an updated seasons rankings. Phil and I haven't done one of those probably in close to a year. So we want to show you where we put David vs. Goliath and we'll put Edge of Extinction in our own personal power rankings. Then we'll merge them together to just do an entire Survivor Specialist rankings. And then we had one more, but Phil's on the phone and I'm trying to think what else we were going to do. Oh, we've always strayed away from this, but we're going to do a winners rankings. We're not huge fans of ranking winners because we think it's very subjective, but a lot of people have been asking and we want, it's a long off season. So we want to give you guys some good content and we'll be doing one of those. And I think Phil is coming back, which is good because I've kind of run out of ways to push our Patreon. Phil, can you get back in?
Well, I've unmuted myself and I'm going to mute Alexa. I've muted Alexa. So this is what's fun about doing it live. Once you start doing it live, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So far, this is the first one where we've had an issue. But that was a fun way to start. We all heard Ron's immediate story. This might be the shortest tell-all if we only get a minute and a half of it. But we're currently trying to figure it out right now with Ron. And so once we're back, we'll be back. But right now, we're just sitting here and we're just going to keep on talking about nonsense. Somebody in the chat, I'll just go look at the chat. I would pay $100 on their Patreon for shirtless Phil pics. Oops. Hello, what's up? Those are probably worth more than $100, so I'm not gonna be doing that. But let's see. Alexa looks like she's deep in thought. For some reason, my phone couldn't even connect to Ron. So thanks, Boosh Bear. I appreciate that. Anyway, what's going to end up happening when Ron does come back, because I'm very confident that Ron is going to be back and that this is going to go well. We are going to talk all about him on comma and how he keeps on saying Wardog is one of his favorite people in the entire. He's back. He's back.
Guys,
Ron, you're back.
He's back.
This never happened before, but I've had to move. Come here, Westbrook.
Oh, and a dog is coming? Or
now the dogs heard you in here, and so they're like, what's going on? It's on the computer, Westbrook. Come. No, he's not feeling y'all. He heard your voices.
He's not, yeah, that's usually people run away when they hear that.
Ron, if you could have heard the way that we were just rambling there, you're gonna love listening back to what you just missed. We just talked for like 10 minutes about
I just pushed our patron for about 10 minutes.
What? I'm so sorry to leave y'all alone there.
No, it's totally fine. We're glad you're back. We're glad
Happy to have you here.
Like we got it sorted out.
Glad I'm back too. Okay, so where were we?
We were talking about
buoys and butts.
Yeah, we were talking about you squeezing Julia's butt.
Okay.
Oh, you got to.
It might be that spot.
You seem to be freezing here. I have all of my props in my other room, so I'm gonna have to go back and forth maybe to grab them.
I love it.
For those of you who are listening on iTunes or Spotify, he just took a sip of presumably water out of his canteen.
That's true survivor.
You're the only one who's drinking water while doing the podcast with us, Ron, so far. Well, let's go. It seems like you're back. It seems like you're here. Let's get into it, man. Let's do it. So other than that, was there anything big that you wanted to talk about while you were on the boat that might have happened before you grabbed that note, the advantage? Because we definitely want to talk about this advantage and what you're thinking when you find it. Was there anything big that you think needs to be addressed before that?
Just I was so nervous and so excited, and we had all done the math. We knew that somebody was coming back. I wrote in my journal how I figured it would be Joe, and I said, when the helicopter lands and Joe comes out, please let him be wearing Yalla. And then when the boat comes around and I see Yalla, I'm like, oh my God, and I'm freaking out. I was so excited because I knew if he were on our tribe would do well. So I was just thrilled. And then as soon as they say, okay, we have 2 minutes to get all the stuff off the boat, everybody's like scrambling and running, and everyone's like being such good humans. They're like looking for the best things to get to the tribe. They're throwing over the side. There was this sign that said, if you dive below the buoy, you can get this big advantage. So Joe goes diving down, superhero, to get it. And I'm just like picking up stuff and looking for clues. I'm just like looking for the clue because I knew it would be on there. And so I look up at the front of the boat, and there's like, I don't know, it felt like 100 cameras at the front of the boat. And then there's this whole group of cameras pointed in one spot. And so I'm thinking, if they put a secret advantage on this boat, they're going to put it somewhere where the cameras would catch it. So I run all the way to the very front of the boat where the cameras were pointing, and sure enough, there it was. And so I just grabbed it, put it in my pocket, and I was like, oh my God. I freaked out. Then I just went and I picked up some fruits or something. So like I was doing something, I jumped off the boat. In the meantime, I saw David drowning, so I thought of jumping over to help him because I felt so sorry for him. But no one was helping him, no one on his tribe. And he's like going down and coming up, and I'm thinking, well, they probably got the scuba divers down there to save him if he doesn't do well or if he can't make it. And so then I just went to our boat. And it was crazy because Eric and Joe, they're like swimming out, throwing grapefruits, diving down. I'm like, they must be exhausted, and they just wouldn't stop. It was amazing to watch.
What was that?
Go ahead.
I have a couple questions off of this.
Okay.
What was the advantage that was under the buoy? I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yes. So actually, it was some cans of food. And so, but the cans were nondescript, so we weren't sure what was in them. And so we said, well, what do you think is in it? So that kind of helped calm us spread out our food rations, because like one had like beans in it and one had some kind of minced meat. But when you just get that little minced meat, you don't understand how much that means when you don't have anything else to eat. So that was great.
That's awesome. So Joe's probably thinking like, I'm going to get a great advantage for the game right now, and it ends up being food while you're standing on the boat picking up an advantage that can help you immediately.
Oh, I was convinced that not only did Joe get cans, I was convinced there was an idol attached to the rope. I said, they put an idol down there. And so that's why I was so antsy. And I was like, I think Joe's got an idol, and I want to boat him out. I want to know about it. That's why I told Julia, we've got to ransack his bag. And she was my little partner in crime. We were buddies. And so she was like, I'll do the bag and you go. And I said, I'll go keep him busy. And we did it the moment you come back from a challenge, because when you go to a challenge, you take everything with you, and you even take your idols with you, because say, oh, you're swapping beaches, and so you actually have it just in case it happens, or else you've lost it. And so I knew when he got back and dropped his bag, that was the perfect time for us to go through it. But I gotta tell y'all something. Okay, so this goes back. It's the funniest thing. So I just wanted to share. So you know Natalie from season 37. So when I was at casting week with her, and it's like 7 days in LA, right? And so you have to go and you have to take this test, and the test is like a 12-minute IQ test, and it's like timed and as fast as you can go. And so we go and we sit down in this room. There's like, I don't know, maybe 20 of us, and the lady stands up and she's like, "Okay," and you can start in 3, 2, and Natalie just stands up and starts walking across the room, and the lady's like, "Excuse me, ma'am." And Natalie just keeps walking, and she goes and she starts making some tea and coffee, and the lady's like, "Ma'am, we can't start without you." She's like, "I'm getting some tea," and she's like, "I need some tea for my throat," and the lady's like, "Oh, okay." And so we wait, we're all sitting there waiting, and then Natalie goes back and sits down, and she's like, "Now we can go in 3, 2," and Natalie gets up again and she walks up to the snack table, and the lady's like, "Miss," and she's like, "I'm getting some Skittles." So in my head, whenever I see Natalie, I call her Skittles. Okay, and so then we go to the buffet. So when you're in that week, you can't talk to anybody. They're very diligent about, you come down at this moment, you eat this long, you go back to your room, and they're watching the halls, so you can't interact with anybody. And they say when you get in line, you can't get in line beside another person who's in casting. And so I go to the buffet line. There's like 5 people who I don't know in line. And so I get in the line, and then I see Natalie sitting about 10 feet away on the windowsill. And I'm like, oh, she must be waiting to get in line. And so I don't want to be rude, but I guess I'll just stand here. Next thing I know, I turn around, there's like 15 people, families have come, I don't know who they are, behind me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor lady is going to now have to get in the very, very back of this line. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll just motion her, she can come get in front of me. I'm like, no, I'll get in trouble because we're told we can't speak to anybody. So what do I say? Do I motion to her? Do I not motion to her? I don't want to be rude. And it's almost my time to get up to pay. And I turn and look, and I turn to her to invite her over. And there she is. And she bumps in front of me. and just gets right in front of me to pay for her food or to get her. So anyway, so she was in casting week. And so I said, she's going to get cast. There's no way she'd be good to me. And then she was. But I saw that
you
coming.
knew that was coming a long time ago.
Yes.
So when that's happening, do you recommend that if people go to finals casting, they do that? Or do you think that's like a guaranteed way? If you would have ended up on a season with Natalie, are you voting Natalie out like instantly?
Well, I don't know, because, when you've got those people who are abrasive and they run their mouth, sometimes they stay around because people say, well, they won't win. Nobody will vote for them. Let's keep them. And so I don't know. It depends. Sometimes you keep around. Like, look at Aurora. Aurora got on everybody's nerves at camp, but we didn't vote her out. And so sometimes that happens.
Well, it's because you guys never lost, Ron. You were on the
you
were on the
didn't
two
have an
tribes.
opportunity to get rid of her.
Never one time does Ron go to tribal council until until the merge. So, you couldn't get rid of Aurora even if you tried.
No, and here's I love Aurora. Like, Aurora's my buddy, but it's just Aurora can be hard to get along with because she's very bossy and I don't take direction well. And so we just didn't mix. And I heard people keep saying, oh, we wish we could have seen you and Aurora bicker more. It was this type stuff. Aurora would look at me and point and say, we need firewood. And I would be like, then go get it. Like, stuff like that all the time because she wanted to boss me around and I didn't want to be bossed around. And you play pleasant for like 5 days on Survivor, then after that you're hungry and you're a little irritable, so everything comes out. That's what I
So
like.
You're saying you and Natalie Cole would not have done well together. That's what I'm getting out of this.
I don't know. If you're that big and bold and out there, I probably would have gotten along with her, because then I just kind of, you go along for the ride, and you kind of make friends with them. So, but Aurora, I don't know. I knew I could talk to her like that because Aurora would cry. We would hug each other and talk for long times on the beach. So we were close, and so I felt comfortable just kind of telling her like it was.
She said she did a tell-all with us, and she said that you pretty much helped her with the social game throughout because you were just like, Aurora, that's not working, or this is working. That's what she told us.
Yeah, I didn't want to be too teachery with her, but like Aurora would say something to somebody and they'd get very upset. And so then I would collect all the things she had said that day, then we'd sit on the beach and I'd say, okay, here's what you said. Here's how you should have said it. And then it would be received differently. And Aurora was great. She was like, thank you so much for helping me. And then I would see her sometimes she would try to use the tactics I had told her. So we had an interesting relationship.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But I need to back up even further though, because you said you wrote in your journal that Joe was going to be out there. How did you know that it was going to be Joey Amazing that was going to come running out? And who else did you think it was going to be, and why? What was your reasoning behind the people you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, because as somebody who watches Survivor, I know who fans want to see back and who they like. And I was like, I bet it's time for Joe to come back. He'll probably get invited back. So I was thinking Joe. I was also thinking Aubrey. So in my journal, I wrote down Joe and Aubrey, Michaela, and then I have Michael Yeager. And then I was trying to figure out, if were they 4 tribes or 2 tribes. So I got 50% of the people right, which I thought was pretty good.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Feeling.
And there was no other. It was just like, these are who I think people want to see. You didn't really have a theme in mind of what you were about to do or anything, if they were going to bring players back.
Yeah, I did have at one point when I looked around the tribe in Ponderosa and I saw the people, I was like, I think they're going to do a teens, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and 40-year-olds. And I was trying, because I said, I thought like Victoria and Gavin, I was like, they look so young to me. I was like, they'll probably be with Michael Yeager. Then Michaela might come. She'll be with the 30-year-olds or something. And so I was trying to put all that together, but then I couldn't figure out who would be the 40-year-old person. And so I was saying maybe James. I didn't know. But thousands of things go through your head when you're at Ponderosa because you're already playing the game. Like, you're already trying to size everybody up. It's a really interesting social experiment because for 7 days you're on Ponderosa and you're not allowed to speak to anybody, and people stand over hovering, watching to make sure you don't make eye contact, you don't speak. And so the desire for you to interact with these individuals is so strong that by the time you do get on the island, it's like everything.
Like, please love me.
Oh, I got a funny story about Ponderosa. So when you get there, they take each of you one at a time to show you where your stuff is because you can't go in groups. So the lady's leading me around and she's like, okay, I'm going to show you where your tent is going to be. You could be there for 2 days, up to 7 days. You'll be living in a tent. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, a tent and corner. And I see these beautiful bungalows. And I said, and she goes, here we are. And I said, oh, thank God. For a minute there, I thought you meant we were really going to be staying in tents.
Survivor's
And
great.
then as we turned the bungalow, and then there are all these tents on the grass. I'm like, oh God. So I say to her, thank God. And, we really were in a tent. And mosquitoes love a tent. And so mosquitoes are in them and it's cold in there and it's wet at night and it's just nasty. So we were really playing a really kind of unpleasant game before we even got on the island.
I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, because I never really realized it until this season, how much time you spend there and sleeping in a tent. Like, you're already uncomfortable. This isn't I just woke up on, day one and I'm well rested. It's like, no, you've been already kind of trying to play the game before that happened.
Yeah, because you have no food. I mean, you have food. You have no telephone. You have no forms of communication. You can't watch the news. You can't watch TV. All you can do is just sit, meditate, or read a book that you may have brought. And so it's horrible. And especially for people who are social, you're desiring to talk and interact with people and you can't do it. And that's rough.
Did you bring a book?
I did bring a book. I brought several books. What's the book about Homo sapiens? But I read the whole thing. And then one of the people who was there, he said, oh, can I borrow your book? One of the casting people. And I was like, yeah, you can have it. When I went on the game, it was a great book. What is the name of the book now? I don't remember the name, but anybody listening knows the book I'm talking about. It's a great book.
Okay.
The History of Homo sapiens.
That's a good, that's a safe book. Because I feel like, I remember reading a lot of pregame press and people are like, oh, this person's reading like a really weird book. Like, I don't trust them anymore. That's a safe, How to Study Humans as a book.
So when we get to the island, and I'll probably just jump around because I have ADD.
That's fine.
No, you're good.
When we get to the island, I've been there 30 minutes and we're going to cut palm fronds and stuff. And I see this area where all these roads, these dirt roads meet. And then there's these 3 palm trees together. And I'm like, that's where the clue is going to be. I know that's where the idol would be. And so I go there and I start looking and I just had a feeling I think it's here. But then Eric, who I was budding around with, he walks over and others. I'm like, I want to find it when nobody's around. So I leave and I go back to camp and I wait till everybody's kind of not really paying attention. And I sneak off to go back there to that area. And who do I find but Aubrey Brocco? She's there. She's digging like a warthog, dirt or whatever. She's just frantically. And I walk up to her and I'm like, hey, Aubrey. And she's like, oh, she's like, well, I guess we're in it together now. I'm like, in what together? What I didn't know is that when she was walking that day, she had found a little red ribbon as soon as she got there attached to a little leaf, on the edge. And so she realized that's a clue. So she ripped it up and she was looking for the idol. So I looked with her for 5 minutes. And she goes, hey, look. So we go down another way to look. She says, well, I guess it's not here. And then later I go back 15 minutes later to get water and I see her there again. And I'm like, why would she go to that spot again? And that's the moment when she found the idol. It was there. It was just hidden really well. I guess since they put that red ribbon there, they figured that was clue enough that you're going to have to dig for it. But
but you had called the spot. Do you regret not just going over there first when everybody was interested in I'm going to look real quick. I'm going to take a pee, guys.
Yeah. I'm kicking myself. I'm like, oh, I could have found that. And that could have changed a lot of different things, or it could have ended up being my detriment because who knows? But yeah. And so, one thing I got to say, this is one thing I didn't realize. On Survivor, they always make it look like, oh, people go looking out for an idol and then they find one in 10 minutes. Looking for those idols, Rick Devens was spending 10 to 12 hours a day looking for idols. I mean, it is a constant dig. Oh, so found the idol on our camp. Then when Joe found out that Aubrey got voted out, he thought the idol would be replaced on our camp. And at that time, it was Kama Beach. It was just Joe, Julia, and Aurora and myself. So Joe goes to look for this idol again. And we're all by this point the idol's not here. We've all looked everywhere. And Joe's like, no, I'm going to find this idol. He was determined. Okay, he's gone for 5 hours. I go up there to look to see what's going on. It looked like somebody had bulldozed an entire forest. Everyone was picking up trees by the root. I mean, it looked like he had like mowed lawns. I mean, it was like a hurricane destruction area, like the whole island. I'm like, Joe, you destroyed the whole island. He was like, yeah, I wanted to find the idol. It wasn't. He was determined to find it. That's why I was like, if anybody has an idol, this man has it, and I got to find out.
See, I wish they would show more stuff like that on the show because everybody thinks it's so easy to find idols.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, when we had Lauren on, she said she thought it was an extra sock. Like she's just walking by and there it is. And then, you know, Devins, it made it look like he was finding them so easily. But being that it's only a 40-minute show, they're not going to show you all the times people aren't finding idols. But I wish they would show a little bit more of it because I feel like it would let people know it's really hard.
It's boring.
It is.
It's boring to show somebody looking for an idol. And also, I mean, not to sound squeamish, but there's lots of big spiders. There's big and there's rats and there's snakes and you have to really dig into things. And it's kind of like, oh man. And so it's not fun looking for idols. It's rough.
How big spiders are we talking here?
Well, some be like that big with those big old long legs, and then some of the small ones, we got them big old fat backs. So you know they got a lot of venom in them or something. But anyway, it's it's not fun looking for idols.
So you were saying that you're not allowed to look at people, you're not allowed to do any of that before the game starts. But you and Eric were really close, it seemed like, from the get-go. Were you able to make connections, do you feel like, with anybody before you got there?
From the very beginning, like,
did you feel like you were able to make a connection at Ponderosa before you actually got onto the island, even though you weren't supposed to be?
Well, I'm kind of a rule follower. And so they told me don't look anybody in the eye. I did not look anybody in the eyes except for 2 times. One time Rick Devins caught me in the eyes and he was like smiling like that at me. And I just looked away. And then one time I sat kind of close to the war dog and he looked at me and smiled. And I thought to myself, wow, he has really nice eyes. He's from New York City. I used to live in New York, have a lot of connections. He likes NBA basketball. I like NBA basketball. And so I was thinking that's the person I probably want to work with. But other than that, I just followed the rules. I didn't say anything to anybody. As soon as we get to Comet Beach, though, Eric's the first person who approaches me. And this is after we've all introduced each other. And then he comes up to me. He's like, hey, I got a really good feeling about you. And it's kind of like, it's like you're in high school and the quarterback comes up and says, you know, you're my best friend. And because Eric's just like such a guy and he's good looking, he's strong, he's a firefighter. And he was like, I think you and I should work together. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, we're very different. People won't suspect it. I was like, you're right. I said, maybe we should be each other's one, but let's not act like we like each other. Let's not talk around each other a lot. That way people won't suspect it. I said, you go get another one. You go get Gavin. I'll go get Julia. They'll think we're the one, but really you and I are the ones. And so that's kind of how he explained it. And then it worked out. Then we were at the watering hole and Julie comes up and Julie's like, I really think we should work together. I really think the 3 of us should work together. And so we're like, okay, yeah, Julie, we agree with you. And so at that moment, I wasn't really intent on being locked in and loaded with Julie, but eventually our paths just led us closer and closer together.
Yeah, so she was kind of coming in as like the 5th there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Vic was the 6th, although Vic wasn't even in there yet.
She was kind of like playing fly on the wall. She was like, I think if a person could make themselves invisible, I think that's what she was trying to do. She was just like over there cooking, quiet. But I didn't know at the time, I wish I had known, that Julia and Gavin had been talking to her and kind of made a little alliance with her as well. So she was the 6th, but she and I really didn't speak. And so the group of us started calling ourselves the Comma 6, but Victoria and I had still never spoken, really, instead of public conversation. And so I'm on the beach one time trying to catch crabs, which we spent a lot of time doing. And she walks up to me and she's like, hey, Ron, I thought maybe we should talk. I said, yeah, you and I really need to talk because looks like we're in this together. She's like, I really like you, Ron. I was like, I really like you, Vic. She's like, are we solid? I'm like, we're definitely solid. And I loved Vic. I just
nice and easy.
Nice and easy. It's so fun because you see all these alliances on. I thought it'd be much harder to find an alliance, but it worked out great. But then Joe and Aubrey, like Aurora was so connected to them like a magnet. It was like insane. And so it made it easy for us to get those together. But Joe thought for some reason I was with them. He's like, Ron, you're with us, right? You with us, buddy? You with me, buddy? And I was like, sure, because I don't know what to say. And so he's like, we've got a plan. Because I had gotten sick. As soon as we got to camp, a spider bit me and I started throwing up because I'm allergic to spiders. So I threw up all over the camp. And who's the first one to come to me? Joey Amazing, because y'all, he is amazing. He's just kind of like, I don't even know how to explain Joe. He's like, he's superhuman, like a superhuman guy. Like, oh, I gotta jump off and tell you this story. So we're at the finale, right? And we're in the hotel, and it's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm exhausted. Lloyd's exhausted. Like, let's just go to bed. And so we get in the elevator, and who jumps in the elevator right behind us, but Joe and Sierra, and they're going to their hotel room. It's 1:30. Everybody's tired, and Lloyd goes, hey, Joe, you and I never got to hang out. I really regret that. I really wanted to hang out with you a little bit. And Joe goes, buddy, let's do it right now. No, let's go to bed. We'll catch up some other day. He's like, no, right now. And Sierra's like, y'all must come to our hotel room with us. And we're like, well, it's 1:30. Like, come on. So we go to the hotel room. Joe's mom's in the bed. Joe's sister's in there. They're wide awake, though. They're in their pajamas. They're like, come on in. Let's have a party. And so Lloyd and I are like, we'll leave y'all be. Good night. No. And so for like 2 hours, we sat there. Joe's sister's playing the guitar. We're all laughing, joking. And I tell you, at least 15 times, I'm like, we're going to head on out. And they would refuse to let us. They're like the nicest people on earth. Like, Joe's like so wonderful. And so Joe is like saying to me, Ron, you're going to work with me, right, buddy? And I'm like, okay, Joe. He's like, here's the plan. You're really sick because I couldn't eat anything. It was really bad. And so he's like, we're going to tell all the other people that we're voting you out. And I'm like, huh? And Aubrey's like, Joe, no. And Joe's like, no, we're going to put Ron. I'm going to save you. And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, what's going on here? And Aubrey's like, got Joe's hand like, Joe, no. And I'm like, nobody say my name. Nobody say my name. And Aubrey's like, Joe, we're not going to say his name. And Joe's like, okay, y'all, okay, we don't have to. But I was like, what in the world? What kind of strategy is this? But I still wanted them to think I was working with them, even though I really wasn't. But Joe's like such a nice guy. Like, he gives like back massages. He's like kind. He was such a workhorse. He builds fire from nothing. So before I go on the show, I'm talking to Lloyd, and Lloyd's like, hey, Ron, like joking. He's like, I don't want you cuddling anybody on that island. You hear me? Nobody cuddling those men. I'm like, what if Joe shows up? And so he goes, if Joe shows up, you can cuddle Joe. I'm like, okay, thanks.
That's your hall pass. Okay.
So one night, it's night 3, which I don't know if anyone's mentioned night 3 to you. It's raining like it's a cyclone. I'm like, I know they're evacuating us. And we're all freezing. And we're shivering. And Joe goes, hey, Ron. I'm like, yeah. He said, you come spoon me. And I was like,
yes.
Well, I've got permission. Spoon Joe.
You don't have to ask me twice, Mr. Joe.
Anyway.
That's living the survivor dream right
It is
now.
unbelievable.
It doesn't matter who you are.
It's almost like you and Lloyd knew that Joe was going to be on your trip.
Yes, I'd already predicted this. I had foreseen it in the premonition.
Oh my gosh. Everyone seemed to have, you and everyone seemed to have such an odd relationship.
Oh, Alexa froze.
She said we had an odd relationship.
There's always that line with him. And this season, I feel like it was the most extreme version of that.
Oh, about relationships with Joe?
Yeah, like loving having him, but not, I feel like there was never really interest in working with him.
No, like, and some people are like arrogant. Joe is not arrogant. Joe is innocently confident. He's a great guy. He's just a great guy. It's just sometimes he's innocent about some of the things he says. I don't think he really understands what he's saying, but he's a great guy.
Yeah, I spoke to him briefly, and I told him I had bought his Joey Amazing shirt for my sister. And he was like so excited that somebody had bought that shirt. So if you bought one of those shirts, Joe's very excited you bought one of those shirts. You know what I'm talking about, Ron? Do you have one of them?
I do not have one, but I know what you're talking about. He's such a talented artist too. He's great. Do y'all follow him on the Instagram feed? Like, I think his life's so cool. They work on that ranch, and it's every day. It's just interesting. It's a neat guy, very nice guy.
Yeah. Well, so Joe though is trying to throw you under the bus or trying to say we're going to vote for Ron early on.
Yeah.
And you had said like you didn't want to work with any returning players. So what was your thinking going into everything?
So much. Okay. A common enemy binds people together. Like we all learned this in junior high school. If you have somebody that you don't like and you all don't like that person, it makes you stronger. It's just human nature. And so as soon as Eric and I got on that island and we realized, hey, easy common enemy, returnees, we just went with it. And honestly, it isn't that I wouldn't have worked with Joe. It was like the sentiment of most people, of Julia, who I respected so much, and others were like, we got to get these returnees out. And so I just kind of fit into it. But in the back of my head, prior to going on Survivor, I had said that my strategy was going to be make a team, make an alliance, and then make them strong. And as you know, with any good team, you need a theme song, you need a cool chant, and something you can do with spirit fingers. And so I knew I had to use those skills to pull the team together. That's why I came up with the comma chant, the song, the dance, because to your team. That's why you do it. That's why you go to a basketball game. That's why you have cheerleaders. That's why you have things the crowd does. And so I was really trying to make us feel like as one, even though the returnees were definitely wedged away from the comma six.
Yeah, you like put Aubrey right in the middle of that dance. So it was like if she didn't realize she was an outsider, you weren't letting her know she was an outsider because she was doing like the most important part of the entire comma strong dance.
Oh, and then she says that she didn't like the dance. She didn't want to be doing it. Oh, trust me, she volunteered to do that dance. And she was just laughing and joking because she knew she had to find a way to ingrain herself in the group because she could feel she was on the outs. But like Aubrey, one of the reasons why I hoped Aubrey would play is because I knew we would get along. I'm like, she is a person, we'll have one conversation and we'll be friends for the rest of our lives. And that's kind of how it worked. I love Aubrey. Like she's one I could call her right now and we would talk for 2 hours and she's just great. And so we, as soon as I met her, we just clicked, bonded. But at the same time, I knew that I had to be against her in order to be with the majority, the comma six. And if we had, I know there's been a lot of talk about this for some reason. Who would we have voted out if we had lost? Some people say Victoria. I think Eric was very strong about Victoria. I think that's possible. I don't know. I keep going back and forth because I didn't realize how strong Julia and Gavin were attached to her. And so they probably would have fought to keep her. I think it might have been Aubrey or Aurora. What makes that interesting is that we probably would have kept Aurora because she's a physical beast. I watched her pick a tree up out the root too. But so it probably would have been Aubrey. Why it makes it interesting is that Aubrey had an idol. She's very smart. She probably would have figured out something was happening. She'd have played it. And so I could have gone home because she'd have been upset that I turned on her, or whoever else knows who could have gone. But it's just interesting to see how it could have played out a different way. You know what I think should happen? I think Survivor should have everybody that played a season come back again to see how it all plays out differently the second time around. I think there'll be another interesting social experiment to see how the dynamic would be different if you did it.
I feel like
that's something that Jeff has actually said he wanted to do. That's probably so logistically difficult, but I think just the social part of that is so fascinating.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's great.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that happen. I just feel like there's always going to be one. I feel like who that's like never going to happen. But Ron, you hate twists, and that's a twist, isn't it?
No, it's not a twist. That's just saying here's what we're gonna do. I don't think it's a twist. And I'm not saying I hate twist because I do like the immunity idols. I think that's a great twist, but I'm thinking maybe you do one per island and you don't keep re-hiding them. It just gets to be too much. Then the idol nullifier. There's just so much going on. And of course, I did not like the Edge of Extinction twist at all. Once you vote somebody out, they should be gone. They can't come back. It's like you kill somebody, like you're on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you take the stake to the heart and they're gone and they come back. It's like, this isn't in the rules. This isn't allowed.
Who allowed this? So when Jeff's up there giving the whole kind of spiel, or at the very beginning at the marooning, and he says, this is Survivor Edge of Extinction, was there any is this going to mean something later on, or were you just like, this was Jeff's monologue about this?
Okay, so in my head, I was completely certain I knew exactly what it was about. In my head, I was thinking, oh, Joe is the golden child, Aubrey is adored, Kelly is a fan favorite, and David is the brains who people love to watch try to manipulate his way through the game. They didn't win before. They made it to the edge. They didn't quite get there. This is their Edge of Extinction season. So I'm thinking this entire season, we're just pawns. We're just here to be buffers for their journey for one of them to win. And I was thinking Edge of Extinction meant. And later I realized, Ron, why didn't you even look on the map? They told you on the tribe flag, you've got the dude, he's got the torch, you've got everything. It's just right there, the sandbar. I just didn't put two and two together.
That's a hard thing to put together, though. But I mean,
Yeah.
Dalton Ross just did his Entertainment Weekly article where he went through like the best and worst twists in Survivor history.
I read it.
He had Edge of Extinction, The Outcast, and Redemption Island all as like one. And he brings up a great point. It's when you're voted out, it's one of the most powerful moments in TV history. And like, that's no joke. Like, that is just such a great moment. And it kind of diminishes that.
It does. It's like, and if your friends or family are watching, it's like, okay, that means there's one less person for the person I care about to have to go up against. But when it's like, oh, they could come back at any moment, I'm like, really? It's bad. And then, it messed up poor Victoria's game, because when we were on the edge of extinction, everyone was talking about, who we value left in the game, who should win people. And of course, everyone said, well, Rick, naturally, and then Victoria would be next. And so when Chris goes back in the game, he already knows I got my targets lined up. It's Vic and it's Devins, and Vic goes out first. It gave him so much information. It was very powerful for him to go back in the game at that point. I just don't think it was fair at all. And so Jeff Probst asked us at the merge when it happened, he's like, do any of you think this isn't fair? And Rick Devins raises his hand, it's not fair. And I wanted to raise my hand, it's not fair, but I didn't because I was chicken too, but not fair.
But Rick Devins actually raised his hand and said it wasn't fair. And he was that after he'd gotten back in or before he'd gotten back in?
After he'd gotten back in.
Okay.
Wow.
Which he was the only one who could really say it. And he needed to say it because by saying it, he shows to the people still in the game, y'all, I'm sorry I'm having to come back in. I know this isn't right for y'all. And so it was very smart of him to raise his hand, but nobody else raised theirs because it's hard. Jeff Probst is such a neat guy, y'all. He's quick on his feet, clever. Like when you see the tribal council, sometimes it goes like 2 hours. He never looks at a piece of paper. He never looks at a note. He's just like coming up with those questions on the top of his head. He never misses a beat. When he has to do a thing where he looks at the camera and says the instructions or what's going to happen, he never has to do a second take. It's always the first take, and he loves Survivor. Like in everything he says and does, he loves that game. It's like he is Papa, and he loves it, and he adores it. And I got to tell y'all something he said to me, which really resonated with me. Before we were at Ponderosa, this is before the game. So Jeff Probst goes, I got to tell y'all, he said several years ago, I learned the best way to do this game. He said, when I create the twist, the challenges, the experience, I'm telling myself, I'm just doing it for these 20 people. And if I make sure these 20 people have the most incredible experience of their lives, everything else will fall into place. It's great TV, it's great drama. He said, but my goal is to make sure that you 20 people or you 18 people have the most exciting, wonderful experience. And then everything else fall into place. That's how I run my school. I tell myself, no matter what we do, if we put the students first, are they having an incredible experience? This is the best for kids. If you focus on them, everything else works. And so it really resonated with me. He said that, but I have the utmost respect for him. He got upset with me several times during the game. He fussed me out repeatedly because he said I was a cheater. Because on some of the puzzles, he said I was cheating, but I was not cheating. I just got frantic sometimes and made some mistakes. But it was just coming from a desire, because the gaming commissions there, like they're standing there watching every game because they're separate of CBS. They're there to make sure that everything is fair. Like I used to think things like this: oh, they know Joe's still in the game. They're going to put a water challenge next, so Joe will win the water challenge. It all has to be predetermined. Where idols will be hidden, when they'll be hidden, when they happen. You can't change things. Do you remember years ago when Stephanie made it down? She was the last person on the tribe. Do you remember? Okay. The reason why they couldn't say, oh, there's only 2 people left, 3 people left, let's go ahead and swap now, is because it is predetermined before anything happens to keep it fair. So the Gaming Commission is watching everything to make sure nobody cheats, everything's on up and up. And so Jeff was fussing at me because he didn't want the Gaming Commission to step in and say, this team's disqualified, because he put 2 hands on the puzzle instead of 1 hand on the puzzle. So he's great.
War
guy. Thanks
War
for
Dog's in the chat. He says you guys only won because you cheated.
Okay. All right. We won because we have arm muscles and we can throw bean bags. But
there you go. I like that. There you go. Bean bags are a little heavy. War Dog spends a lot of time at the gym, but he's not lifting bean bags. Those are a little too much for him.
He's taking video selfies promoting this podcast.
That's it.
So one thing to know about the War Dog, he's one of my favorite humans on earth. We get along so well. We've been buddy since the beginning. I mean, the very first day he tried to talk to me and I was kind of standoffish to him. But if anybody's listening and War Dog has said something that upset you or offended you, he's a great guy. He's a super awesome guy. So you just have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. He's got a big heart.
And earlier you said he had great eyes. I need to ask you, did you see his Instagram post today where people could see that he used to have great hair?
Oh, come on. I didn't see it. I had to check that out.
It's a good.
Oh, Ron, my gosh.
Good one.
It's going to change your life. But yes, no, the War Dog's great. He's in the chat right now. He's talking crap, but that's okay. We don't need him. I wanted to ask you. Yeah, exactly. That's what I think he knows that. I think that's why he does it. But I wanted to ask you, you get this advantage menu that says you can only play it in the first 3 days or first 3 tribals.
Right.
You never go to tribal because, your tribe just dominates. Were you kind of bummed about that and you wanted to be able to utilize that? Or were you okay with it because you figured you'd use it kind of like you did later down the road?
No, I was kind of like, listen, if I don't have to play it or even use it or even mention I had it, that's the best. Because let's say I did play it at the 3rd tribal. You're going to have people like Julie, and others who thought I was working with them as part of the Comma 6. Then I pull out some special advantage. They'd be like, okay, he's supposed to be with us, but I didn't hear about this advantage. And so it actually worked out better for me. I didn't have to play it because I was safe. And, Comma Life was awesome, y'all. We were winning those challenges. Of course, Joe is an MVP type individual to have on your team. But Aurora is strong as an ox. Like if she arm wrestled Joe, I don't know, man. Joe would probably win, but she is so strong. Like I said, I watched her uproot a tree. I'm like sitting there trying to get the little palm frond pulled off. And she says, Ron, get out of the way. And she just pulls the whole thing about the root and goes and takes back the camp.
Oh my God.
Like, okay, I compete with these people. And then like Julia is extremely strong. And then Julie, I think people underestimate her and her stamina and her abilities. So we were tough group.
Yeah, it seemed like it was. Maybe it was just because once they lost once, it started going downhill, but it felt so uneven because you guys are over there dancing and then you go to the other tribe and they're all like starving and like just laying there. It was just like, how are these tribes set up to begin with? But, can
I speak to that?
Yeah.
How were they set up to begin with? All right. I'm a 48-year-old man. Julie's 48-year-old doll maker. If I'm casting, I'm thinking these 2 people are weak. Then I look at the War Dog. When you look at the War Dog, he is a physical specimen. So you're thinking, wow, strong. You look at Chris Underwood. He's a championship swimmer. He's strong. He can go toe-to-toe with Joe. So you're thinking, wow, these people are really, really fit and strong. So when you're on paper, our tribes look pretty even. Then you got Aubrey versus Kelly. Mm-hmm. Kelly's a dynamic threat. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And that's why at the beginning, like I think when we first had seen the cast, I did not expect Manu to go on the losing streak that they went on. I even thought I made this stupid statement in preseason that War Dog was going to beat Joey Amazing at the Edge of Extinction challenge and get back into the game at like final 6. So that was my belief. Yeah, anybody who's listening, you should see Ron's face right now.
Yeah, Reem had a better chance. But can I tell you something? What I was going to talk about? Darn it. Okay. I have something I want to share. Do you know when we did the wheel puzzle?
Yes.
We had to put the wheel. Okay, that's like such a Survivor classic. It's one of my most favorite moments ever. And I'll show y'all something in a minute if I can get my props. So We're swimming, we're doing all the stuff. We get the will puzzle together. It's all awesome. So at this point, we've won, I think, 3 in a row, and they had 3 in a row. Then Jeff goes, okay, y'all can head out, comma. So we all go and we dive off the pier and we're swimming away. Well, I'm carrying the dragon immunity idol, okay? And everyone else is swimming ahead of me. And so I'm swimming to catch up with everybody, but I'm going really slowly. I turn on my back and I'm holding the dragon, swimming on my back. And I was trying to get the attention of Manu, who was still on the pier. And so finally, I'm like, somebody look at me, somebody look at me, somebody look at me. And finally, David, who's always like skulking around like a hoot owl, he turns and looks at me and he sees me and I mouth to him, I need help. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I need help. And he's like, and he winks at me and he turns around because I didn't need help. I'm in comma 6. We're strong. But I wanted to plant the seed that when we merged, that if David comes to anybody on comma to say, hey, can we work something out here? I want him to come to me first. Mm-hmm. And because as soon as we merged, he came to me immediately and said, hey, can we talk? And it was because I had sent that message to him because I wanted to hear what his what pitch he was going to sell first before he sold it to anyone else.
And then
I wish that had been on TV because I thought that was at least a good moment I had. I thought that was something.
And it makes a lot
different.
more sense as to why you and Eric were so defensive of keeping Rick and David around, at least from the edit's perspective. That would have really helped us to understand why you were so invested in that, because you felt like you'd already had some sort of bond there and that he had come to you. Yeah.
And so I have to explain myself. So we go up to once we merge, everyone's saying, let's vote out Devins, vote out Devins. I did kind of think it was kind of mean to send somebody right back to Edge of Extinction. And so, but I was also thinking, if I can save Devins right now, I will have a loyal ally, not only in Devins, but in David. And here's why I vote out Joe. Okay. Joe's a super great guy. Joe's life. Was a torrential downpour at Cama when there's just 5 of us at Cama Beach. Joe built like this lean-to just for me. I had my own lean-to, my own fire, but it got so bad that it all washed out. And when it washed out and the flood came, I was face down in mud under the thing. It fell on top of me. The fire's at my feet. Joe's like, Ron, you're going to get burned. I'm like, help me, help me. And my face is like under the thing. I'm like, and I'm in mud. And the camera is right in my face. I'm like, this is going to be the most embarrassing moment I had in my life. It's going to be on TV. But they didn't show it. So thank God. So anyway, so Joe saved my life. But when we merge, I see him go and talk to David and Kelly in the woods. And so I go back to Joe and I'm like, Joe, have you talked to anybody? You talked to Kelly or David or anybody? He's like, no, buddy, just painting the flag. And I'm like, okay, Joe. I'm like, so again, do you and Kelly, do y'all have any relationship outside of the game? He said, no, buddy, just know from last time we played, didn't really get along with her then, don't really know her that well. But I remembered I saw them a couple of years ago on this game show. And I was like, wait a minute, why hasn't he mentioned this to me? And so I started getting uncomfortable. And then War Dog and some others had talked to Joe at the watering hole and said to him, why don't we make a power alliance? Joe told them no. And now I know that Joe was telling them no. But when I asked him about it, I was like, Joe, have you talked to anybody? Has anybody approached you about a different alliance? He's like, no, buddy, nobody's talked to me.
Buddy's your thing.
I'm like, okay, Joe. I'm like, so what am I supposed to be doing here? What are we doing? He said, I don't know. Why don't you go off and make your own moves? I was like,
he did say, we saw him say that.
Yeah, without made the air.
So I'm like, okay, Joe, I'll do that. And so
you paint that flag. I'm gonna go do something else.
And so I'm thinking to myself, Joe must on some level realize he's on the comma, and he may be with us now, but he will flip sooner than later. And honestly, I can't trust where his strategic mind is. I said, let's get him out now. And so that was part of the reason why I was so adamant to Julia and Eric and everybody about let's just get him out now. I mean, if you have a chance to take out Joe,
I have to say, we did a tell-all with Kelly. You're the first person to bring up Candy Crush on this podcast, though, Ron. You get the title of first person to bring up Candy Crush on the Survivor Specialist podcast. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that because it was such a short-lived thing. But Kelly and Joe's relationship kind of I mean, I don't know how close they stayed in touch, but that's at least enough to be like, okay, you have to talk and like do a competition together. So that's going to count for something.
Exactly. Can I tell something else? So, the night that Julia goes home, it's the big dramatic tribal council. Well, I must say, as a fan of Survivor and like somebody who like is like crazy about it, to sit there and watch that go down was the greatest joys of my life. I'm sitting in the middle of chaos right now. And when I said, hey y'all, why don't we vote out Victoria?
Yes.
We should have voted her out because she's too conniving. She's too like clever and she's like the Black Widow sitting in the corner and she'll just wait. She'll wait. She's just so patient. Should have took her out of that moment. But I wanted to point something out. Kelly at that point had an idol. David at that point had an idol. They both were starting to feel like I'm the one that's being voted out tonight. If we had voted straight on and the big drama hadn't happened with Julie saying let's jump ship, Kelly would have gotten 6 votes. David would have gotten 5 that had both played their idols, and we'd had to revote. And at that point, who knows who would have gone home. So either way, that night was destined for something tragic.
Yeah.
Me. What are you doing, boys? Come here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Hi, Bobby. This is Hammy.
Oh, hi.
This is Westbrook. Hey, boys.
Hi, guys. Oh, you're so cute.
Hey, buddy. Hi, Bobby. Did y'all go outside? There's no light in here. Maybe I'll take this thing off this lamp.
Been some fun, mysterious lighting.
I don't even know how to. I'm like scary. Hey, can y'all talk like random talks? I'm gonna leave y'all with the dogs. I'm gonna get my props. Okay.
Sounds good.
Wow.
Sounds good.
Oh my gosh, this dog is so flippin' cute.
To anybody who's still here, we appreciate with the Wi-Fi. We know. We appreciate. You can. It won't be as bad once it actually loads onto YouTube. It's because it's a stream.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I've listened to it before. Because if you notice, you can hear every word he's saying. It's just kind of chopping at like one little spot, and then you can actually hear the rest of the sentence. So it won't be as bad. But anyway, I love talking to Ron. Also, Carl said he should nullify Ron's Wi-Fi.
Is Carl in the chat right now? I haven't been paying enough attention.
Carl's in the chat. War Dog's in the chat. War Dog's talking trash. War Dog's talking trash. War Dog used to look like Ronnie from the Jersey Shore, and I'm from the Jersey Shore.
A comparison.
And yeah, in case anybody couldn't tell, if you're from the Jersey Shore, or the people who are on that show, they're from War Dog's neck of the woods. Okay, they're not actually from the Jersey Shore area. No, they're up there in Long Island and Brooklyn and New York or whatever. I just want to make that clear because wow, that hair is like perfect.
Perfect, exactly. It's really something.
It's truly something. But anyway,
the stories are insane.
I like listening to these. I love listening to like the behind the scenes at Comma because I feel like we never saw anything from Comma. And I want to definitely want to bring up to him the fact that all the moves that were made it's like, what did he feel like it was almost pointless because Chris comes back and win? And there he is.
There he is. He's back.
Maybe. There he is. He's opening up his jar. Okay. Well, no, we lost you for a second, but you're here.
Sorry about that. So, I ran to get my treats.
Mm-hmm.
So my little shirt. So they give us this big box of like leather and fabric and say we can make extra clothes if we need because people's clothing was like ripped and we had holes in it, and so they gave us stuff. And so I used it to make these playing cards. And so I know you can't see it here, but these are like it's a deck of cards so that we could play actually spades with it. So you didn't see it on TV, we play spades a lot. This is important to me because when we were on Comma Beach, like Julie can be a little bit paranoid and a little bit kind of like high strung. And so like, I think the reason we bonded so much is because I'm like a caregiver. Like I love to calm people down and talk to people. So every morning I would talk to her. Every afternoon before I went to bed, I had to go get Julie, make sure Julie was okay. She was calm. And so one day, Julie came up to me and she's like, Ron, I appreciate you so much. I found this and I want you to give it to Lloyd and tell Lloyd that how much I appreciated you taking care of me. And so that was like the beginning. So I kept this and gave it to Lloyd. So I thought that was special. Then we did get tree mail every day, but you didn't see it very much. So this is a tree mail that I got. And this is the one we were going to merge. It was so exciting because See, it says here, 3 tribes you only know by name, but don't really know each other, which is a shame. But if the tribe feast you crave, the others are feeling the same. To earn it, you'll endure one more game. And so I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna have to fight out one more game against the other tribes, or we might not get to have this feast. The game was actually to watch the person come back from Edge of Extinction, which I thought was pretty cool. This is a piece of the tarp from the Edge of Extinction I got. This is what I wrote the note, which I know I've got a lot of flack about it. I wrote a note to Julie on the tarp. And I just offered to anybody, because I had this the charcoal from the fire. I said, y'all, I think I could write something on this. If you want me to give it to you just in case you win and get back in the game, I'll write a note to Julie and tell her that she should work with you, because I think Julie, she respects me and she'll listen to me. And so Chris was like, I'll take that note. And so I wrote the note to Julie and I signed it in my cursive, because she knew my cursive, because it's how I signed all my stuff. And so I sent it and I gave it to him. He eventually showed it to her, but it doesn't make it on TV. But
I was wondering how, like, because I remember reading about that note. I was wondering how you knew to trust Chris.
Because Chris, okay, this is one of the reasons why I voted for Chris. Chris was still in the game. He's on Edge of Extinction. He's still playing the game. He's like, what advantage could I get? What can I do? How can I win? He was still like so in it. A lot of people were so like, they're like the Dementors had sucked the life out of them. He still had the life, like, I want to win. I want to do whatever it takes. I want to try hard. So when I offer, who wants me to write this? Chris is the one who's like, I'll take it. I'll take it. And so he was willing to do whatever. So other things I have here. Okay. So before I go on Survivor, I'm like, I'm going to practice these puzzles, because God knows I'm not strong and like physical like other people. And so I've got like the fire.
Wow. How did you make that?
And so Lloyd and I have practiced this no less than probably 1,000 times, to the point where if this one had come up, I could put it together in less than 60 seconds. So like we like Xerox things, we froze frames. So I was prepared to win if that had come up, or some of the other challenge puzzles.
That was the 2 votes after you went home, right? Was when that puzzle came up?
No, this one never came up. This exact one never came up, but a similar puzzle did come up.
The Julie one.
That's like my thing. Like a puzzle's my thing, or swimming, like any of that physical stuff, y'all. Okay, I on TV. Oh, that looks so fun. I'd love to try that. You're so exhausted, like, because you haven't eaten. You're tired. It's hot. There's mosquitoes landing on you, and you're trying to do these things, especially the endurance ones. Challenges on Survivor, not fun. Like people like Aurora, they're like, yeah. Did you see the one where we had to go through like the spider webs of stuff? Before it even starts, I say to Aurora, do not pull me through that spider web thing. She's like, I'm not. I'm like, you let me make my own way. I'm going to go my own speed through that spider web thing. She's like, fine. Of course, I'm the last one going through the spider web thing. Aurora goes down and grabs my arms, and I look up at her and I say, don't do it. And she goes, and she rips me through the spider web things, cutting up my body, rug burns all over everywhere. She's just a mess. But anyway, she probably loved all those challenges. I was not a fan of the challenge. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it because I'm here and I have to. But I thought that'd be fun. Not so much fun when you have absolutely no energy and you're worried about, I don't want to get hurt and have to be sitting home because I'm hurt.
Yeah, that would always be my biggest fear if I ever played, would be I don't want to get hurt. Because to come all the way out here and then get hurt in a challenge and be like, should I have done that? Would drive me absolutely crazy. But I wanted to say too, everybody else gets like their little bag that they bring out to Survivor. Ron Clark goes out there with the Amazing Race giant bag, and he's like stuffing like half the island.
Yeah, how'd you bring that all back?
How did you get all that back?
Oh, you don't even know all I have. Like I have the cutting board, I have buoys, I have shells, I have so much stuff.
Are you just nabbing stuff all day?
I crammed it in. And first of all, okay, when I wrote the note for Chris to use for to show Julie, production saw me do that. They were like in approval of it. So it wasn't like we snuck something that the gaming commission thought wouldn't be okay to do. So that was on the up and up. And then like the stuff that you take, there's some stuff like the camera crew would say, you can't take these things have to stay. But everything else was fair game. So we all were trying to take it and pack as much as we could. And so I just kind of tried to get the lion's share. Because at my school, I'm going to do this little, at my classroom, I'm going to do this little area with some of the mementos and pictures and things like that.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love that, like, you brought that back, and I loved like the way you talked about, I think it was at the reunion, you talked about how like you have smart your kids are smart. They know you were going out there to play a game, and like you weren't worried about that, because I feel like so many people are worried about how they're going to be perceived by, especially in like a leadership role. And it didn't seem like that bothered you.
Nobody cares. Like, people are smart and people understand. Like Lynn Spillman during casting, I think she was very hesitant about casting me because she's like, we don't really like to cast teachers. Teachers come on and they are what people think. And I'm like, I'm a different type person. My kids know I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I go 100% at it. That's why I think I've had success in the education field, because I'm like, if I'm doing it, I'm going all in, everything I got. And so everybody knows I'm like that. My students know, my staff, they know. And so no one was surprised. And my kids were like, you better lie, Mr. Clark, you better cheat. That's what you're supposed to do in the game. And it was fun to watch them cheer me on throughout the way, because a lot of them are already Survivor fans. But then the ones who aren't Survivor fans, it was great to watch them get connected to the show.
Yeah, that's really cool. How long were you applying for the show? I know you kind of had like, a lot of people thought you were a recruit at first, which was not the case. You applied.
No. Yeah. So when I was in 2000, I watched it on television for the first time in New York City. I had seen the promos. I knew I wanted to watch it. I really didn't have much of a life. When I was teaching in Nudie, it was like every moment of my life, even when I would sleep, I would dream lesson plans. So I was so focused, I didn't have time to do anything else. But I knew I wanted to watch this TV show. I watched it on a 16-inch black and white TV. And I said, I want to do this. I want to be on this show. I saw Sue Hawk's speech and I was like, oh, what epic TV is this? I said, I've got to be part of it. But I could never apply because I was always teaching. I told people on the island I had applied many times, because if you tell people I only applied once and got on the first time, nobody likes that. So I said, oh yeah, I applied many times, but I really only applied once. It was about 2 years ago. And I said, I think the school in Atlanta is to the point now where maybe I could take a summer off. And so I applied. I got a phone call and Jesse said, hey, Ron, we're interested in learning more about you. So I made a different video, went through that process, went through another phone call, ended up getting invited to LA, went through the whole process. And this was for season 37. And so they eventually called me and said, you didn't make it. We would like to put you on an alternate list for season 37. Would you be interested? I said, of course. So then I got a phone call and said, you didn't make it, but don't give up hope. Maybe we'll put you on a list for 38. And I was like, okay, great. Then I got a phone call that said you didn't make it. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, but thank you anyway. And then I got a phone call a week later and said, would you like to be on an alternate list? And I'm like, sure. And then I got a phone call and it said, you didn't make it. And so at this point, I'm like roller coastered. I'm like, it's like so up and down. And Lloyd, my husband, was kind of like upset. He was like, I don't like these people. I don't like these people. If they call again, don't answer. And it was 2 a.m. one night. This was 3 weeks before we were supposed to leave to go. And at 2 a.m., I got a text from Lynn Spillman and it said, are you up? And I was like,
you up?
I am now.
Sure I am now.
And so I go into another room. I go into another room and I call her and she's like, listen, you weren't even on an alternate list. I don't even know why they want you, but Jeff wants you. He called me and said, we've got to have Ron. Yeah, he wants you. I don't even know why. We weren't on an alternate list. Do you want to do it? And I was like, I said, are you kidding? Of course I want to do it. And so I was just very grateful that I don't know what happened to somebody, or somebody got eliminated. They couldn't do it. They got injured or what. But I was very grateful to get to do it. So I only had 3 weeks to kind of get my life together and to be able to go.
That's
awesome. What did you do in those 3 weeks? How did you prep?
Well, about 5 months prior, I had started swimming 3 to 5 times a week because I was like, I think I might get called. I'm an alternate maybe. And so I had been living right. I like no caffeine, no sugar. I had lost 12 pounds. I mean, I was fit, the most fit I've been in my life. Lloyd and I were playing tennis several times a week. So I just really tried to get prepared. I wasn't prepared for was mentally, oh my gosh, I'm leaving the school. Our graduation was supposed to be a week after the day I was supposed to leave. So I had to move my graduation up a week. So think about that, telling everybody, 1,800 people, our graduations are huge. Oh, graduation's moved. And everybody's like, why? And I'm like, venue issues. I couldn't really tell why. But I made it out so that I could leave the next day after graduation was over.
So, I mean, that's not a lie, though. Venue issues, like, yeah, I'm going to be in Fiji. That's the venue I'm in. So.
Exactly. So I want to talk about the War Dog for a second. So this didn't get on TV, but this was a moment I thought was pretty cool. So we made when the Julia shenanigans go down, War Dog and I are looking at each other and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? As soon as we get back to the beach, when Julia gets voted out, War Dog whispers to me, as soon as beach, let's meet. You get your 2, I'll get my 2. We'll meet on the beach. So as soon as we get to the beach, you can't speak until you get to the fire. We put down our torches. I grab Julia. I grab Gavin. I'm like, come with me now. We go to the beach. We meet War Dog with Kelly and Lauren. And so we meet on the beach, and we're sitting there, and we're talking about how we're going to be in an alliance. And War Dog says this, hey, everybody. We should make a pact that if any 6 of us break this pact and try to make another alliance with anyone else, that we will not give that person $1 million. Let's make a pact right now. And so we all make the pact. The next day, everybody but War Dog is like, who is he to tell us that? That's really so rude of him. I really hate he said that. Why would he say that? It makes me feel uneasy. I don't know about him. I don't like that. So everyone was so upset about that conversation. So I go back to the War Dog, and I'm in his office with him. And I said, you know what? It really resonated with me when you said that about how we're not supposed to give anybody the money if we break our alliance. Do you think everybody was listening? He's like, yeah, I think so. I said it. I said, I don't know, man. I think that was so smart. I mean, what a leadership thing to say. I think you should tell him again.
Oh, my God.
That's so good.
And so he's like, you think? I'm like, yeah, tell him again. So we go back to the next meeting of the 6th, and he brings it up again. And people are rolling their eyes, but he just keeps on and on and on. I thought it was a great moment. It didn't make TV.
Amazing.
That is it.
If that
I'm
alliance
shocked that didn't make it on TV.
Well, it's one of those, if that alliance goes to like final 7 or final 8, and it's like, are they going to break or not? We probably see that moment because we already see like the fracture of you all.
Yeah.
But it never really turned into much because David goes and then War Dog turns around, blindsides Kelly right after that, right?
Right. David's hard to kill. He's a beast. Like to 2 hours because David would not shut up. He knew he was going home, and he kept lobbying and talking and trying to convince. He was trying every avenue. I was like, my God, he is like, it's so hard to kill this person. He's like Voldemort. He's got 7 Horcruxes, and I can't kill all the Horcruxes to get David out of this game. To get David right out was difficult. So when he left, I was like, thank goodness, because he's a player, man. He is tough. He's a great guy, great player.
Yeah, and then after that, you're still kind of on the wrong side of the numbers. When War Dog decides to blindside Kelly, what are you thinking in that moment?
I actually put the seed in his ear before you brought it to me. I don't know why on TV it looks so different, but one thing that you didn't know is that we had a challenge that never aired. I think you've heard about it. It was a challenge where they went for a hamburger feast. Devins, Victoria, and I, we had to throw coconuts in a bucket. They dropped. Then you got these huge puzzle pieces, which were like so heavy, and you had to put them in this thing. It was very difficult. Well, Lauren, Kelly, and Gavin win. They get the opportunity to choose one person to take with them on the hamburger feast. Well, it's Lauren and Kelly. Obviously, they're going to choose the War Dog. It would be stupid of them not to choose the War Dog because he's their alliance. And the War Dog's standing there like, of course they're choosing me. Well, they choose Julie. And I look at his face. He's like visibly like upset about this. And they're like, yeah, Julie, she's just been through a lot. He was so upset about it. When they come back, Julie says to me, I'm like, Julie, any conversation, anything I need to know about? And she said, yeah, they were kind of talking about a possible Final Four of us, of me, Lauren, Kelly, and Gavin being Final Four. And so I'm like, they didn't mention the War Dog or me? She said, no. So I go to the War Dog and I tell him, and I'm like, they have a Final Four idea. You and I are on the bottom of this alliance. And he's like, oh, don't worry. I'm going to get her out before she gets me out. He's trying to get you out before you get her out. He said, that won't happen. I'm going to get her out 2 votes from now. I said, what if she's trying to vote you out the next vote? He goes, you're right. Let's get her out now. And so I kind of put the seed in his ear. And so that was how I convinced him to be willing to vote out Kelly. On TV, he comes to me and he's like, hey, I've got an idea of voting out Kelly. And so honestly, I don't know. Here's the deal, y'all. I only know what I know from my point of view. It may be wrong, because when I've watched a lot of people do their webcasts with you, they're wrong. They're sitting there saying stuff and they're like, this is what happened. And I'm thinking, no, I've got a really good memory. That is not what happened. I think people have a warped perception of themselves sometimes. And so then I was thinking, maybe I have a warped perception of myself as well. So maybe I don't see it as accurately as it may have happened because I hadn't been eaten. But in my mind, that's how it happened.
I'm excited for the War Dogs text update of like everything you said that was true and everything you said that wasn't.
He's going to send us a novel at like 1 a.m. and just giving us the lowdown of what
this is what Ron said that really happened. This is what Ron said that didn't happen. This is Ron's line about this, like that. You know, that's what the War Dog does. So,
well, I don't think he's going to. I mean, War Dog, we have a great relationship. That's my buddy. He's not going to say anything bad about me at all. If he did, I'd be very surprised.
He never says anything bad about anybody, but he'll be like, yeah, my side was true. You know, I can see him pointing to himself as he's typing.
Yeah, maybe his side was true. I only know from my memory what happened, and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong too. So can I jump to something?
Yes.
Wherever you want.
So, okay, Gavin. I got to talk about Gavin for a second because I have gotten no less than probably 500 messages on social media platforms about, I guess these. I don't know who they are, but they're very upset I didn't vote for Gavin. Okay, so I want to explain my rationale behind that. Gavin for the loved one visit. I was doing it as a strategic move. But after the loved one visit, Gavin comes and shakes my hand as a man, looks me in the eyes and says, Ron, I will never vote you out. I'm going to the end with you. I'm giving you my word as a man. What you just gave me with that loved one visit, you gave me a honeymoon. I will never betray you. And so I know it's a game. You're supposed to betray somebody. And if he wants to betray me, good on him, you know, because he really would have blindsided me. But then he goes to Lauren and Vic. They say, hey, we're voting out Ron. He's like, okay, fine. The reason why it bothered me is because when we were at Final Tribal Council, and you didn't see this point, I was considering voting for him. I was like, maybe I would just vote for Gavin. I asked Gavin. I was like, Gavin, you know, you said that to me, and then you went behind my back. He was like, oh, Victoria and Lauren were telling me this, and they had the numbers. If he just said to me, yeah, Ron, I was just throwing you some bull, man. I was just saying that because I wanted you to get your guard down. I'd have respected that. I'd have given him my vote. So I'd have been like, oh, he got me. But he didn't do it the right way. And then Gavin said to me one time, he said, you know what, Ron, I'm happy to take you to the end because I'm just trying to win this $100,000. I'm happy with being second because if I win that $100,000, that's a lot of money where I come from. Now, in Final Tribal Council, you do not see it. I say to Gavin, Gavin, you told me one time you were happy with $100,000. You were just planning to get to that point, and you were happy to sit beside me because you just wanted that $100,000. So right now, are you telling me you're happy to take $100,000? And Gavin goes, I never said that. I didn't say that. What Gavin should have said is, Ron, I was playing you, man. I was playing you. I wanted to make you think I wasn't trying to win the team. But so he didn't answer his questions in the right way. If he had answered the questions the right way, I'd have been happy to vote for Gavin, but I didn't because he didn't give me what he needed to say in that moment.
Yeah, for
Thanks for letting
sure.
me share that.
And do you think that there were other people who kind of felt the same way, that Gavin didn't just maybe own his game at the end enough to warrant a vote over Chris? Because I know a lot of you have said you didn't really want to vote for the person from Edge of Extinction, especially you've said, like, once you're out, you're out. Like, I don't want that. And like, I've heard that from a couple other people. Did you think that people were just looking for Gavin to own his game a little bit more?
Yeah, I wish, this is the teacher in me, I wish I could have prepped Gavin before his final tribal council. Because because we all kind of went in with an open mind. We were like, Eric and I were like, yeah, let's go with open mind. Julia said, I want to see what they have to say. If I could have whispered a few things in his, Julie also on GoFest, I'm a big Pokemon Go player, excuse me. So I was like, I wanted to vote for Julie. Final tribal council, a lot of people say on TV she did a great job. In person, there were some things she said that didn't work out. Excuse me. The question was asked, Julie, you were very emotional, paranoid, erratic at times. Explain yourself. Why should we give a person like that $1 million? I wanted Julie to say something like, yeah, I was erratic, but it's because I was passionate and I was trying to win. But Julie goes, well, I think it was a strategy, because I think people felt sorry for me because I was dealing with, and so the way she sold it, I was like, no, Julie, you're not selling it the right way. You don't know how to take your disadvantage and make it an advantage. And so she just wasn't really forthcoming, but I wanted to vote for them. They just didn't do a good enough job of explaining themselves. And that's why I voted for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah.
Into giving him her idol. That's why at Final Tribal Council, I turned to Lauren like, you don't sit on TV, but I said, Jeff, I have a question, and it's very important, but it's not for the final three. Can I ask a jury member a question? And he's like, yeah. And I said, Lauren, please explain to me why you would have given Chris your idol. Because the whole game, we've all said, whoever comes back from Edge of Extinction, voting out first, they're the biggest threat. They've had time to meet with the jury, And so her giving him her idol, to this day, I'm like, girl, what were you thinking? That makes no sense. But the fact that he convinced her to give it to him, I'm like, wow, that's a big move. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, Lauren told the story of that. For anybody who wants to go listen to the Lauren O'Connell tell-all, she told her story of that on that podcast. And her thinking, at least what she says to us is, I was probably going home then anyway, but Ron's already shaking his head, so I don't feel like he buys it.
Okay, if she thinks she's going home, she plays her idol for herself. If you think you're going home, you don't give your idol to somebody else. He fooled her. He said, Kelly said, you need to make a big move. You make a big move in this game, and so you need to play your idol for somebody else. The person she should have played it for was herself. But I don't think Lauren would have won anyway. She made it to final three. But I think she could have stayed longer.
May have seen that in your AMA.
Who was your ideal final three? If you had it your way, how would that have ended up?
I would have set with Julie and Aurora, and I'd have won $1 million.
Do you think, let's say that Rick Devin's the only person who comes in from Edge of Extinction and nobody else comes in from Edge of Extinction, right? Once you're voted out after that, you just go home. With the final six we had, do you not want a hypothetical here? Threw your hand up, but
no, sure.
I was just going to say, with the final six that we have, where right after you go home and it's Aurora and it's Julie, Gavin, Victoria, Rick, Lauren, what do you think like the order would have been? Like, who do you think would have won in that situation had Edge of Extinction just ended when Rick came into the game?
Okay, so you broke up a little bit of the final six. Rick Devens beats everybody. And then next of the final six who would have been in the game would have been Victoria. She would have won if Rick hadn't been around. I know you're a big fan of Victoria. There were some flaws in her game. Could I point out one for you right now without you getting upset with me?
I'm going to try. I'm going to try to keep it together.
You won't get upset.
I'm going to try to compose myself, Ron, but go ahead.
Okay. In the vote where we voted out Joe, we're still comma strong, including Joe. Jeff asked Victoria, who are you voting out tonight? What was your rationale? And so we're supposed to be saying we're voting out Devens. And so Victoria goes, well, I'm voting out a big threat. I'm voting I don't know if a big throw and vote them out. And Joe looks like this and looks down at me like, what is going on? Because we're supposed to vote on Devins. And I look at Joe and I'm like, and then I turn to Jeff. I'm like, Jeff, can I say something? And that's when I go on this Comma Strong rant. I'm like, Jeff, in my whole life, I've never been more Comma Strong. Comma, I love Comma, and I love the Yalla and Comma. And I'm making this speech. They show the speech, part of it on TV. I look like an idiot because I'm like, why would you be so professing Comma Strong? Because you're alienating everybody from Manu. You're rubbing it in their face. I even counted them off. You didn't see it on TV, but I said, and I'm going to show you who we're voting out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I counted off the Manu people because Joe's looking at me like, am I going home tonight? And I was afraid Joe was going to play an idol because I'm still thinking Joe may have an idol. So the reason why I had to be so because of what Victoria said. And so when I do this Comma Strong speech, Joe looks at me and he's like, he takes a breath. And so then he calms down. Then he goes home that night. So anyway, so Victoria, anyway, she had some flaws in her game. But I see why you like
that. That one was okay.
She's quiet, spider.
That one was okay, though. You're like easing me in. You're like easing me into the flaws in her game. I thought it was going to be like, listen to this egregious thing, this egregious mistake she made. But at least we didn't have that happen.
Okay. Yeah. And so, anyway, and Victoria and I had other moments. I wish you had seen this, but one time she held my hand the night Eric went home, and she said, Ron, we are so locked and solid. Then Eric goes home, and then she comes to me the next day in the woods. It's just Victoria and I, and she's like, yeah. And she's like, Ron, she's like, are we still locked solid? I said, you're a liar. You're a liar. I don't trust you. So I'm in her face with my finger, and she's like, what? When I go to my confessional, they ask me 10 questions. Tell us more about you and Victoria and this disagreement. So it never made it on TV. But anyway, so Victoria had some flaws in her game. I guess we all do. You know what I'm saying? But I would have voted for Rick. Then I would have voted for Victoria. Of the other final four, I would have voted for Julie, then Aurora, then Gavin, then Lauren.
Okay, there you go. And do you think that had Edge of Extinction not been in there, were people realizing how much of a threat Victoria was to get votes at the end, or were they kind of thinking that the jury wasn't really noticing that? Like Chris comes back in and it's like instant Victoria is a huge threat. But like from your perspective, do you think that people were picking up on that, and had Chris not come back in, do you think she's going at like 5 or 6 or whatever it would have been?
Honestly, and I don't really know because I wasn't there, I would say people probably would have voted for Aurora. And the reason is this. There was this sentiment in the camp that Aurora had favor with the jury because Aurora was the only one receiving gifts because Aubrey had sent her something. So there was this thought. She's a challenged beast. She works hard around camp. She's getting gifts from the Edge of Extinction. And so the idea was that Aurora may be somebody who could win. And so I think they may have chosen Aurora before Victoria.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that Aurora would have gotten votes there? Like now, after seeing it all and after like hearing it out, do you actually think that Aurora was a jury threat or not really?
Is she sitting beside the chickens, or who is she sitting beside?
That's who you reserved Lauren for. No, I mean, for if she's sitting next to whoever out of those final 6, like she doesn't beat Rick, she doesn't beat Vic, but does she beat Julie or Gavin, or is she losing to Julie and Gavin? Yeah.
I don't think Aurora wins. Aurora's an interesting cocktail. Like, I like Aurora. I love Aurora. Aurora rubbed people the wrong way sometimes. And I don't even know if she realizes it. I don't even know, but I'm not sure Aurora wins. But you never know. You don't know how.
Oh, sorry, we lost you there. But we're back now. No, that's okay. All right, what else?
Can I tell you about the loved
Yes,
one
I
visit?
wanted to ask you about the loved one visit for sure. We kind of like glossed over it because you talked more about after it.
Yeah, so I was so happy. Well, first of all, we get the tree mail. When you get the tree mail, it comes one morning and you can't read it till you get back to camp. So Lauren goes to get the tree mail and she comes back and she's like crying almost. And she's like, there's a heart on the tree mail. And I'm like, there's a little locket and a heart on it. And we're like, oh my God, because we have been wondering, is it going to happen? It must be soon. When will it happen? And it's kind of like,
it seems so silly, y'all, but when you're on that island, like one day goes so long, it feels like it's a week. So when it's been 31 days, it feels like an eternity. And oh my gosh, this is a long time, and you're miserable and you just want to see your loved one, tell them what's going on. And so we get that locket. So Lauren and I are like bawling at the fire that morning, even before we've gone, because we're thinking it's going to be the loved one visit. And so we get there, and in my head, I can be paranoid. And so I'm thinking, what if something's wrong with our pups? Lloyd may have had to stay home to take care of the pups because Westbrook, oh, they're walking with Lloyd right now. So Westbrook has like eye problems. He has the entropium, which is a problem that chow-chows have. And so I'm like, what if something's going on with his eyes? Because if he had a surgery, I told Lloyd, stay home with the pups. Somebody else can come. And so I'm like, what if something's wrong? Lloyd's finishing up another degree. He's doing stuff. What if he's not here? And so part of me was like, what if it's not Lloyd? And so I'm sitting there and I have my hands on my face, and Jeff Prep goes, Ron, your husband. I'm like, oh my God. Like, freaking out.
The dogs are okay.
Huh?
She said the dogs are okay.
You say?
Oh, we got
She just said the dogs are okay. But Ron, that's not what Jeff said to you. Jeff said, let's see who would marry you.
Okay, that Lloyd has talked about that 1,000 times. He thinks that's the funniest comment. Why would he say that?
I don't know.
Bill, why would he say that?
I don't know. Because to me, that's normally reserved for like, if like you're Troyzan and it's like, who would because like Troyzan's kind of like the zany, like what, but like you didn't have that personality of like, we'd be surprised to find out that Ron was married, So like when he said that, I was like, huh, that's interesting. Because he said that in the past, but it's normally about like, it would be like reserved for the war dog. Like, let's see who like is the mother of this guy. You know what I mean? And like, here comes his mom, because it's like, this is war dog. But I don't know.
Okay, so listen, Lloyd must bring that up. That I don't know, but Jeff and I have an interesting relationship. Like I said, Jeff thought I cheated a lot. Like on 5 different challenges, he called me out saying I was a cheater. And honestly, okay, I might have been cheating, but because like for some of those things, you don't know this on TV. There's all these rules. Like, the one with the puzzle with the things, you can only touch one at a time, and you can't, you had to put one in completely before you touch another one. Well, sometimes you just naturally go to touch another one, and little things like that. And so I don't know, but Jeff and I had an interesting relationship, but I don't know why he would say that. So Lloyd comes out, I'm like thrilled. It's like top 5 moments of my entire life. And so like so excited. And one of my dreams was that he would get to actually compete in the challenge because Lloyd's such a physical, athletic specimen. And so I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, Lloyd can run the beach. He can run the beach and get the water. And to get the water. I'm like, oh my God, I have to do it. And so I'm running back and forth trying to get this water, and the gaming commission's there. They're like, you can't get any sand in your bucket, because if you get sand in the bucket and you throw it, sand's going to weigh more. So everyone's watching. So it's like, it's stressful. I'm hyperventilating because I'm like, you might not believe this, I can be a little dramatic. And so I am like all like in a tizzy trying to win this challenge, and I'm freaking out. And so I get my water, I run up there, and I throw like 2 times, and I miss Lloyd completely. And so I run back down the 3rd time, and I'm like, oh my God, Lauren plays soccer. She's going to be running so fast. Her dad's huge. He's going to put his arms out. So I'm thinking I'm going to lose. So I get the water. I run back, and I'm about to throw it. And Lloyd goes, Ron, stop. And I was like, what? He's like, stop. Put down the water. And I was like, huh? He's like, put down the water. And so I put down the water. He said, just breathe. I take a breath. He says, Ron, you sit here, and when you are ready, you throw that bucket of water, but you take your time. And I'm like, okay. And I take the bucket, and I throw it, and I swear to you, like 90% of the water goes whoop, right in the bucket. And it was incredible. And that was the time I go to run back to the beach. By the time I get to the water, I turn around, the flag has raised, and Lloyd's got his hands in there. And that was because he told me just
So it was
Stop.
that
Let's
fast.
take a
How many
break.
times do you think you went down to the water?
30.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't that fast.
No. Do you see how much water it takes to put in the bucket?
Oh yeah.
They're trying to kill us out there. They're really trying to kill us. Like the Dr. Joe and the medevac team's like standing right there, like watching for one of us to drop. It's like, it's not human. I mean, why do that to us? But anyway, I didn't even run to Lloyd. I ran to Julie. Like you didn't. I run down the beach to Julie. I grab her and I hug her because we had talked about this day from day one. I said, Julie, I promise you on day one, if I win that loved one visit, I'm taking you. And I just hug her and I go, Julie, we won. She's like, we won. So I'm hugging her. Then I ran up and hug Lloyd. When Lloyd goes, he picks me up in the air and throws me around. His wedding ring goes flying off. And so I don't even know this, but later after we've left, he tells the production, I lost my ring. I have a picture of it. There's like 40 production people digging through sand looking for the ring. Everyone's looking for the ring, and Jeff Probst is digging in the sand along with them, and he finds the ring. So Jeff found it, and he brought it to Lloyd.
I love that Jeff Probst ends up being the hero of that story. Like it's him who found it.
course
Not only was he looking, he found it.
Of course it was Jeff Probst.
Of course. No, I love that. And do you, so like when you take Gavin and Julie with you, you end up going home that episode, but like once you win that challenge, do you think there was anything you could have done that prevents you from going home that night or whatever night it ends up being? Or were you just like, these are the people I want to take with me. If it bites me in the ass, it bites me in the ass.
Okay. To be honest with you, I've had some PTSD. Like I've had some issues with all of it. Like, I love to win. I'm very competitive. And I had nightmares probably till February or March of this year. Like, for those of you who watch Survivor and love it, be kind to the people who are on the show. Don't say mean stuff to people because it's rough. And when you get voted out and when you lose, it's heartbreaking. When I got voted out and I walked down that plank, I instantly realized what it felt to be voted out of Survivor. And I felt so guilty for the people I had voted out. I felt guilty for the way I played the game. Like this just overwhelming, just remorse. It was horrific. And so I've had hard time. It was like till February. I would wake up in the middle of the night. It's raining on me. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. It's cold and I'm shivering. I wake up in the middle of the night and there's rats on the edge of extinction. Like your mind. Then you wake up being voted out, and it's horrible. And I've replayed it probably 10,000 times. Who I picked for the loved one visit. I picked Julie because I couldn't not pick Julie. I promised her I would, and she would have been devastated. Then I picked Gavin because he made this story about his honeymoon, but also because I felt like Gavin would be loyal to me. I thought he would appreciate it. When we get back to camp, though, I go to hug Victoria and tell her I'm sorry. Victoria, your girl, gives me the shoulder. She's like, no. And she's crying, and she wouldn't hug me. She was so angry with me because I didn't pick her and her father to go on the loved one visit. Lauren is cutting her eyes at me. I'm like, but here's the deal. Every one of the final people on that game, all 6 of them had come to me that day and said to me, I promise you, if I make it, if I win the loved one visit, I'm picking you and Lloyd. I'm picking you. Because I had a great relationship with everybody. That all promised to me. But to be fair, I told Victoria and the others, I'm not going to pick you. I'd be grateful if you did pick me. But I've promised someone else. I'm going to pick them because I didn't know if I'd pick 1 or 2 people. And so I was honest with them, but Victoria was so upset. And that's the conversation that she and Victoria have on the beach when I'm on the loved one visit, where they decide to vote me out. And they'll tell you it had nothing to do with it, but ask Aurora if it had something to do with it. It had a lot to do with it. They were upset about that, and that's why they did it.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any problem with that having something to do with it. I mean, it's one of those things you're hurt by it. I mean, Lauren and Victoria have like a really strong relationship with their father, so I could imagine why that would be brutal. I mean, Lauren's the first one to say, like, how many times did she cry about, I don't cry ever, but I just miss my family. I just miss my parents. Like, it's like when you have like a strong relationship like that, obviously you're going to be hurt by it when you're not picked, you know?
Yes,
so like,
Phil, I had no doubt you would take up for Victoria here.
That was for Lauren. That wasn't even for Victoria, you know? That was, but hey, I'm just saying, like, I don't understand, like, why, if they're trying to say that it had nothing to do with it, I'm kind of surprised that they're saying that if it did have something to do, because it's just like, there's like no shame in that, you know?
Right.
You know, but hey, I mean, it is the worst spot that you can ever be in Survivor is winning the loved one's visit, Ron.
The toughest challenge to win.
But you couldn't help it. Like, you had to win that. As soon as you saw it, you were just like, screw it, I'm winning this.
Yeah, I don't care. If I'd known I was going home, I was still going to win that loved one visit. I mean, I'm a competitor. I don't know how not to try hard. Like, I hate when people say, like, if you win something and they say, oh, but I took it easy on you, or I didn't try my best, or I've been focused. I hate when people say stuff like that. It's my Essential 55, play stuff like that. I'm just not that type person. I put my best foot forward at all times. I'm never going to throw a challenge or a victory ever. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. When you when you got to Ponderosa, I just want to bring this up real quick because I don't want to forget it, and it's in my head right now because you're talking about celebrating and everything. And when you got to Ponderosa and you had that Coke, what was in that Coke other than Coke? Because I don't think I've ever seen anyone react to a Coke the way you did.
Strong way.
No, seriously, it was just Coke. I love a good Coca-Cola, and I was just so thirsty, and it tasted so good. I mean, the cheeseburger, I just wanted to crawl in the cheeseburger and the mustard. I love mustard, and it was just so great, and it was awesome. But another thing about Survivor people don't realize is that your body and your brain tells you you're starving. Hoard food. So if you get food, your body that's starving for 35 days is hoard food. So we get to Ponderosa. I've never eaten eggs. I don't eat egg ever. And my whole life since I was 7, haven't had an egg. And so I craved egg, which I was like, this is so weird. I don't eat egg, but I craved it. And so as soon as we get to Ponderosa, I'm like, can you make me like 12 scrambled eggs? I'm like, and I ate them all. I was like, I just want more scrambled eggs. And so it messes with you. And then even when I got back to Atlanta, Lloyd and I went to P.F. Chang's, I ordered 3 meals. And Lloyd's like, Ron, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to eat these 3 meals. He's like, okay, oh, really? He's like, you're going to take some of it home? I'm like, no, I'm going to eat these 3 meals. And I ate 3 full meals. And he's like, Ron, this isn't healthy. Like, your brain is like hoard food. And you can't rationalize and tell yourself, this doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Just have 1 meal. Like, I couldn't stop eating. So I gained all this weight and it went right to my stomach, which is a crisis. But in many ways.
We lost that last part. I don't know what you said after the stomach's crisis.
I was just saying Survivor is difficult for many ways.
I think a lot of people don't realize that too. Like, when the season's over for us, like, we just turn it off and we see all of you at the reunion. So we're seeing you months later, 7 months later, 6 months later, however long it is. They don't realize, like, you lived those 7 months to get back to Ron Clark before Survivor, like, get back into like that shape and stuff. I don't think a lot of people realize the emotion. Like, it doesn't just end as soon as you walk off the beach and you start eating food again.
No, the dreams, the nightmares, the unknown. I didn't know how I was going to be portrayed on the show.
Right.
So at the cast party, which is really short, it's really just like 10 minutes. I go up to Matt Van Wagenen, who's one of the producers, and I said, Matt, do you think there's any possible chance that I might be portrayed as a villain this season? And he goes, oh yeah.
You're a bad guy.
I was like, thanks for letting me know that. And so I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I didn't know how I'd be portrayed. So the unknown for 7 months is just it's unnerving because you don't know what you're going to see on TV about yourself. And when you're on Survivor, what you see, it is, I know you would know this, but it's like 0.001% of what really all happened. You're just seeing kind of a snippet of one story they choose to tell. And so that's also hard to deal with as well.
And you come back from the island and then it takes however long to get assimilated back into real life. And then the show actually airs. And then you deal with people talking about you on social media, and you deal with like them telling a different story than what you saw. So you kind of relive it all again.
Yeah, my problem wasn't with the people on the show because I'm like, we all probably saw it differently because we're living it through our own eyes. And so whatever story you want to tell, I support that. My difficulty was like with people telling me they wanted to kill me and like the death threats and stuff, because when I voted out Kelly, okay. Oh, do you know when it was worse? All right. This is like my worst moment on Survivor, the time that I like was most devastated. When I said it was a puzzle where David and I were trying to do that plank puzzle and Kelly and Gavin and Lauren had to do the swimming thing. All right. So we lose it. We don't win the Chinese food. And so I say, I'm the puppet master. I don't care that we
I believe
lost.
you actually got the episode title when you said that.
I did. It's horrific. I'm like, I'm the puppet master. And so I'm watching it with Lloyd, and I sit straight up and pause it. And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I didn't say that. They edited it. They put a voiceover. I didn't say that. They made me look like I said it. I rewound it to show Lloyd I didn't say it. And I'd be damned if I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I did not know this.
Really
I rewatched this.
I remember saying it. I freaked out. And so I was like, oh no. And then I said, oh, and I don't even mind that we lost because Kelly and Lauren haven't eaten in so long. It'll keep them weak. And so they won't be strong for challenges and for individual immunity. And they'll be more, as much of a threat. What a horrible thing to say. And then, lo and behold, Lauren goes to the challenge and almost dies. The messages, hundreds of people like, you wanted her to die. You wish death on her. You need to die now. You're going to die at your school tomorrow. Like, it was like all these death threats, like horrible things. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that. And so that was like the lowest moment. And so Lloyd was like, Ron, they'll be fine tomorrow. They're just they're venting. These are just fans. They're all 14-year-olds. I promise you, Ron, they're all
That's what.
And so it took me a moment before I got past that one, but I did.
And that's exactly, I think, right? Alexa, Lauren calls it her 14-year-old army.
She has an army, and
she has an army, and like
all 14.
That's all you could do. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like
and
it's
internet people in general. Like that's
whenever it's just crazy that people, that people get that serious about it and like that into it, where it's like these are people being edited. Like they're there for, honestly, like it's the whole like dance clown. Like you guys are there for our entertainment while you're on the show, and I hate that people take it so beyond after the show's over, because it's like, do you think Ron Clark wanted Lauren to die? Like you could hate Lauren with a burning passion. You don't want Lauren to die. Like what? Like people are crazy.
No.
People are crazy. So it sucks that you had to. I always hate to hear like when people had to go through that, but it seems like it's become the norm more than it's become an outlier, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it was rough for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad. And reading it. You're not going on Reddit anymore. Stop reading the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. But after that, it died down and everything was okay. You know when things get great, and this is what I want to tell anybody who is on Survivor in the future. They will blast you. They will hate you. They will rake you across the coals. The second you get voted out, all is forgiven. Mm-hmm. And everything's okay. And everyone's nice again. And you played a great game. And they'll be complimentary. And so you just have to wait till you get voted out.
Yeah, it's the truth. You probably met half of your biggest haters at like the finale and stuff. Like, and they're probably the ones who are waiting for you. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like they're like, you know, guy who hates Ron 1, 2, 3, who's saying all these mean things on the internet, but it's like, oh, it's Ron Clark.
It's like, oh hi, it's so nice to meet
you. I love it. Yeah, it's like just putting it into perspective half the time. I mean, you're right though. Once you're voted out, it's like, you know,
now I'm gone.
And you could be. There's two types of villains on Survivor, and you know this because you've been watching it for so long. Oh, sorry, totally lost you there.
One thing that Devin said to me when it was my biggest mistake in the game. I should have worked with Devins. Devin said to me, he said, Ron, he tried to spit wisdom. He said, I know what it feels like to be voted out. I know what it feels like to be betrayed. I don't want to be disloyal. I want to work with somebody and be loyal, play an honest game. And I wasn't trying to hear him. I was trying to play big villain, run the show. I was a mess. Once I got voted out, I said, oh, now I know what Devin's meant. I should have worked with Devins. I should have played a strong, loyal game with him, and that would have taken me to the end. You know, it's funny. The very first time I meet Devins is at the merge. He's competing with the others. I wanted anyone to win but Devins. I'm sitting there going, just not Devins, not Devins, not Devins, because the other people told me he was a meteorologist, or no, excuse me, he was an anchorman from Georgia. I was like, crap. If he's on the news in Georgia, there's a chance he may have heard about my school. He's heard my name before. I can't have him blowing up my game. So I'm sitting there going, anybody but Devins, anybody but Devins. Devins wins. I'm like, oh crap. As soon as he comes over to me, the first thing he says is this: I want to shake your hand. He said, I've heard a lot of great things about you. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, nice to meet you, Devins. And I'm like, he said, we'll talk all about it later. I'm like, sure. I'm like, my game's over, because he's going to go and tell people I've had some notoriety. I wrote a book. It made money. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win now. Everyone's going to know I'm a liar because I just told them I was a basic teacher and nothing else. And so what I didn't know is that Aubrey had gone to the edge of extinction and said, of all the people, I love Ron. Work with Ron. He's an honest guy. So when he said, he meant from Aubrey. I thought he meant like from news or something. So I'm like on the boat going back to the island, like, well, my game's over. This is over. I'm going home. I'm gonna look a fool. So then when I finally pulled Devins to the side, I'm like, where did you hear stuff about me? He's like, oh, all from Aubrey. I was like, oh, really? It's like,
weight of the world off your shoulders.
Wow.
The world. I was so happy.
So I have to say this, after talking to you and getting to know you don't really have a Matthew Perry vibe. If you could have like recasted yourself, like if you could have recasted who was going to play you.
I know who it was. I know who it should have been. It's Sean Hayes from Will and Grace. It's
as you sit there right now, like 100%.
He's perfect. But they cast okay, short story. In 1995, I did this project with my class. And this project dealt with putting ads in newspapers around the world. It was just a project. It was asking people around the world to write to my class. Matthew Perry sees it in the newspaper in 1995 when he's on the cast of Friends. He says to the cast of Friends, why don't we respond to this class? They send a letter to our class. Okay. Years later, a script comes across his desk. He must get thousands of them. He says, teacher Ron Clark, and he goes, I think I know this teacher. I think we wrote his class before. And so he decides to read that script. That script was a story about my teaching experience. It's called the Ron Clark story. So it's really, really weird. So I go to meet with Matthew Perry. He's like, I'm excited to play you. He said, I want to do a good job. I want to learn your accent. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a really distinctive Eastern North Carolina accent. It's a little tricky for people who aren't from North Carolina. He's like, I'm going to learn this accent. So for 3 days, he's talking to me, trying to repeat everything I'm saying, trying to learn my accent. He can't get it right. So finally he goes, I'm just going to do my own accent. I'm just going to talk like myself. I feel more comfortable. I'm like, okay. He tries to do my mannerisms. He said, I feel really fake because you're like really dramatic. I feel really fake. And he's like, I'm going to do my own mannerisms. So basically, he ends up playing Chandler, teaching my class in New York City. But I was so grateful he did it. I didn't even care because the story of what happened with the students was true and real. And I was like, it's great. But if you watch the movie, it's obviously Chandler teaching in Harlem and not Ron Clark.
Right.
Now I need to go find that movie like
I know, I gotta get
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So, like, I love to rap lessons with kids. I'm like, now let's get down to some presidential learning. We'll start with George Washington, straight from Mount Vernon. The first president and commander-in-chief fought the Revolutionary War so we can be free. I rap these lessons. Matthew Perry's like, I'm going to rap just like you. I'm going to rap the lessons. So he tries to learn my rap lessons. He eventually said it was his worst day ever filming any scene in the history of his film career when he had to film. And if you watch the movie, you'll see how pained he looked to try and do my rapping lesson. But he did it, so he was a trooper. I'm grateful that he did it.
This.
That's so fun. I'm most concerned about how did he say yellow? Did he say yellow or did he say yellow?
He said it neither way. It's
yellow.
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
I say yalla.
What?
Yalla.
Yalla. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
And is that how Matthew Perry said it, or did he say yellow? Like,
I don't know. Don't make me call my mom and tell her how to say yalla. She'll tell y'all.
Yalla.
I love it.
Yalla.
I love that somebody asked you that and they asked me anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is the phonetic pronunciation of yellow? And you just put YALA. Love it.
I'm gonna FaceTime my mom. I'm gonna see if she'll answer. And I'm gonna get her to see. She'll tell you.
This is some important stuff here.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm on a podcast.
My mom is I don't know if you can see. Okay. So we'll see if she answers.
There she is.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Are you watching the webcast?
You got it.
Okay. How do you say YELLOW?
Yalla.
Thank you, Mom.
Yalla.
You are the best source for telling how to say something.
I feel like all of a sudden everything I've ever known about the color yellow is wrong. I think I was taught incorrectly.
You know who else I want to call? I'm gonna call somebody for you. I don't know if the person will ask. Will answer the phone. I'm gonna see.
Uh-oh.
Let me see. All right. I don't know. We'll see. Probably won't answer.
I hope it's Jeff. You're calling him on the Jeff phone.
I don't. You know who has Jeff Probst's cell number?
Mr. Ron Clark.
No.
Get rid of him.
We don't want him.
It says paused. Why does it say paused?
I don't know why this false.
Oh, it's the war dog.
we
But I don't
can
know if
hear
y'all
him
can hear him. Can you hear him?
As soon as I heard the voice, I had a panic attack.
Like, oh God, I just broke out in hives.
They said they had a panic attack.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the show, Mr. Clark.
Thanks for watching it, buddy. I love you.
I love you.
All right, bye.
I love that. He might not answer. War Dog's probably been sitting there by his phone for the last 45 minutes. Like, when's he going to call me?
Oh, he knows I love him so much. So I'm gonna call somebody else. Let's see.
Oh, this is fun.
This is turning into going through Ron's what do you call it?
Contact.
Speed dial.
Yeah.
I'm calling Oprah. No, I'm joking.
Oprah, hi.
Oh, I almost had a heart attack. I was like,
I
called Oprah.
am not prepared for this.
Yeah, I need to do my hair.
I know everyone has dropped off now. No one's listening anymore. But
Well, what if Oprah comes on and like
Okay.
nobody listens to it?
this person's obviously not listening. I'm sorry, y'all. I shouldn't be doing this. This
I
is
just
so
don't
fun.
understand why Oprah didn't immediately pick up. That's pretty rude
No,
of
no,
her.
she didn't pick up. She's busy.
Oh,
Sorry about
brutal.
that.
Hi, Ron.
Hey,
Hi.
What are you doing?
I put you on a podcast. You're on-
I'm at Planet Fitness.
You're at Planet Fitness.
This is awesome.
Being back.
Oh my gosh.
It's the exclusive Julia Carter tell-all.
Wow.
We got it.
We got
Nobody
her.
thought we were going to get it. We got it.
What's going on?
They said they didn't. They said nobody was going to get the Julia Carter tell-all, and so now they're getting it right now.
Poor Julia, you just got tricked into this.
I'll tell me how much I love you, and I was just calling people, so I just called to say hello.
I love you.
All right.
I'm gonna watch your podcast all later.
All right.
Completely have to do, but yay!
All right, bye.
All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, you heard it here first, people. We got Julia Carter on the podcast.
We did. Nobody thought it was going to happen. We got it. Made it happen.
Yay! That's awesome.
It's going
So-
again. I hear the.
I'm calling one more person.
Oprah.
Oh, hold on. I don't know how to.
Hello.
Hey, this is Julie.
Hey, Julie.
Oh God, Julie, please don't call me a 40-year-old woman again.
This trying to call.
You got a bad feeling?
Yeah.
No, I've got you on the webcast with me right now.
Yeah, that was my bad feeling.
Why?
I'm joking because I'm not really like up for, talking. I don't know how to hold the
Oh no, it totally
Oh
cut.
no! There we go. We're back.
Everybody wants to know what you just found out. It's an exclusive.
I have two holes in
Oh,
my surgery.
So how?
Pupils?
No.
Is it just from looking at me?
It's something called your maculas. It's in my retina.
Oh,
I've never heard of that.
that sounds
I
painful.
know. I just found out I'm seeing a specialist tomorrow morning. So, Ron, you might have to come up to New York City to nurse me back to health if I have to have eye surgery on both eyes.
I'll come help you. I'll take Jake out. We can Pokemon hunt.
Oh, you know Jake is doing that on Saturday with his friend.
Yeah, I am too.
Here in the city.
Where to?
Well, this is one of the reasons I haven't been able to be on the podcast. I was at an eye doctor all evening, figuring out what's wrong with my eyes.
Well, I love you, and I'm.
Oh no!
Can you come now?
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Actually,
Okay.
Uh-oh, I heard
Julie
someone
said-
freeze. Hi.
I couldn't
Hi,
hear what you
Julie.
said.
What just happened?
Bye, Julie.
What just happened?
I heard Julie say the first letter of Alexa, and then
I
didn't
heard
hear
Julie
anything
try to say my name, but then the Wi-Fi cut out.
else. Oh
Uh-oh.
no, it's still cut.
Care for dogs and her,
There
her
you
kids.
are. What? Wait, say that. I just heard that again. What did you say?
She said that you're in New York City, and can you come help take care of her family and her?
Oh, Julie, tune back in. I'm here to help. I'm dog sitting my boss's dog right now, but I will happily dog sit your dogs and your kids.
Cool.
Oh, we're calling her back? Just let her know.
No, I was calling somebody else. I'm just.
We're moving on.
I just can't wait to see who's left.
I like this. This is what everyone's doing on a Tuesday at 11 p.m. Julie's
I had
getting her
no
eyes
idea.
checked out. Julie was working out. Julie was crushing it.
Do y'all have any final questions for me? Because now I'm just
Well,
wasting
now
people's
my
time.
my last question to you, Ron. I feel like we're like on like the big finale of like a show where the credits are about to roll, but we're just like
Someone's
throwing
here.
stuff. Oh, is someone there?
Someone's here.
What is the big question?
I just want to say, so if you got called tomorrow and they said, Ron, come out and play, no matter what the theme is, no matter what it is, are you just going like without even thinking about it?
Yeah, here's Davey.
Davey!
Maybe.
Hey!
I forgot you were on your freaking Survivor Specialist today.
Now you are
What's
too,
up,
Davey.
What's up, feeling, Alexa?
Davey's my favorite. I
We
ruined
miss
his
you.
selfie.
I miss you guys too. I'm just chilling with a friend right now. We're on the hookah and drinking. And how long are we
Two.
on your Tello, Ron?
It's like the fourth hour.
You trying to be a world record?
I'm trying to beat War Dog's record, and I'm just trying to time fill right now. So I'm calling people more interesting than myself. So,
Well, I am honored. I know you probably can't see me because it's pretty dark in here.
everybody can see you. It's great.
He's got the halo behind his head.
Yeah.
He's like
Davey,
the
you were
angel
his
killer.
first choice to call. You were the first person he called.
I love you, Davey.
Hey, man, I love you too, bro.
Have fun. So, okay. So you want me to know what I'll leave right now if
If they said play, you're playing season 41. You got to leave tomorrow. Are you just getting on that? You're just getting on the plane and going. Like, how?
season 41 or season 42 is very important because season 41 would be the rain season. Season 42 is the winter. So
Oh, both.
season
both.
41.
I want to hear either.
I want to hear what your reaction would be to either. Let's hear how much of like a Survivor enthusiast you still are. You going out there in the rain or no?
I'm going. Like,
Okay.
will I leave tomorrow?
Mhm.
I mean,
Tomorrow.
I'm leaving. I'm going. I'm going to do
You're
it.
actually going to be FaceTiming people on this podcast while also traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do it. Yeah. Yeah. I will never be asked to do it again. I promise you, I will never be asked to do it again. But if I were asked to do it again, I would do it again. Yeah.
Really?
I'm like the type of person they asked to do it once. I'm not the type of person that gets pulled back. But yeah, I would. Of course, I'd be so honored to do it again. I would say yes, but it won't happen. But it's okay, and I'm content with that. I played the game my first time around as if it would be my last time around. And so I tried to be aggressive. I tried to go for it. I tried to do everything I wanted to do. And so I tried to hit it all the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There you are.
There you are. Sorry, we lost you. We lost you. We lost you.
Did you hear nothing?
No, we heard you say you would leave it all. You tried through everything the first time, and then
it
you know who should do it is Lloyd. Lloyd should do it,
Mhm.
but I don't think he would. But he should.
Lloyd says he wouldn't get voted out. You know, we had that talk.
Yeah, Lloyd. Everybody loves Lloyd. Like in this, we live in an apartment building with probably, I don't know, like 500 people. Lloyd knows the name of everybody in the building. Like everybody loves Lloyd. Like he is the favorite human. If we ran for mayor, he'd win. He's great. So I think Lloyd might win Survivor. He should play, but I don't think he would.
Blood versus water. You heard it here.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, he'd be much better at it than me.
Hey, you got 8th because of Edge of Extinction or 7th? I can never keep track now, but I guess it was
I think 7th. Technically, they say it's 8th. So.
I think you got to say 7th.
I don't.
Yeah, you made it to final 7 without being voted out. I'd say that counts.
Yeah, the Michael Yeagers of the world, the Michaelas of the world. I'm sticking with 7th.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to. I mean, if you think he'd be much better, it's hard to be much better than 7th. You know, you're up there. But well, Ron, I mean, that's like an uplifting / like, oh, it's a bummer that you don't think you'll be asked, but it's an uplifting way to end if you want to end it there. I don't think you're breaking War Dog Strike. You got another hour and 20 minutes. You got that in you?
No, I'm done.
No, I don't think I have that in me.
No one has it in us.
Question. Alexa, did anyone have a question for me or anything anyone's curious about? I did.
Let me check our Instagram real quick.
This is the last one I'm doing. So if anybody has anything, this is my last chance to answer it. I'll tell anybody anything they want to know about the show. If anybody needs help with applications or applying, you can send me an Instagram message. I'm happy to help anybody. Oh, you know what's so cool? And I voted him out. First of all, when I get an Edge of Extinction, he gives me a big hug. He's like, buddy. It's like, oh, he's just being nice to me because he might get back in the game. He wants my vote. We get to Ponderosa. He's like, buddy, would you be my roommate? I'm like, okay, Joe. He's like, of everybody, I want a room with you. I'm like, okay, Joe. So he's just such a genuinely nice guy. And I said, but Joe, you know I'm the one that voted you out. It was my idea. He's like, it's okay, buddy. I love you, buddy. Will you be my roomie?
Buddy.
He's a great guy. A great, great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's been voted out 3 times. So I think it's like he can kind of understand it more. Like he's not having that initial like, oh God, I hate all of you. It's like it happens. It's Survivor. Most of us are gonna get voted out. That's what it is.
So there was one question that really stuck out to me. This is a question from Heather, and I think this will be a good one to end on. She said, how are you using your experience on Survivor to impact education at Ron Clark Academy? You are an inspiration. And will you be using any experience from Survivor?
I think, okay, the experience on Survivor has, I don't know how to explain it, but it has settled me a little bit. Like, I don't know. There's like a calmness to me. I went through like a really rough period of I couldn't stop nightmares. I'm like ultra competitive. And as you saw on the show, sometimes I got really like confident, and there's a character flaw I have. Like when I compete at cards or pool, Lloyd and I play pool and darts and stuff all the time. I have to really control myself because I will get like really arrogant and start to say stuff. And it's a character flaw, something I got to work on. But after going through Survivor, it's like calmed me, relaxed me, like dealing with kids. Like, I don't know, I handle kids a little bit differently. I think I'm a little bit more human with people, a little bit, I don't know. I don't know. After seeing what it felt like to get voted out and to be hurt so much, it just makes me empathize more with people who hurt in any way of life, or I don't know. It's humanized me even more. I think it's probably the biggest change Survivor has made on me.
That's a good thing to take from the game.
If I played it again, I would play the game differently if I played again, because first of all, I wrote in my journal when I got to Ponderosa at least 10 times, Ron, you're an idiot if you play this game again. So if I played it again, I think I would have much more difficulty voting people out and being the villain role I was, because I know it just hurts.
Mhm.
It's just horrible to hurt people. So I think I would have some trouble with that.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think that's a solid way to end it. So now if Ron plays again, if you're going to be on Ron Clark's season his second time, align with him because he doesn't want to be the villain next time.
Won't be the villain.
Yeah, if they put villain tribe and I'm with villains, I think I'll struggle with that. But if they're villains, I would probably have an easier time voting them out.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's nice people, it'd be more difficult. I'd have to really do some soul searching about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate y'all, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you for coming on.
We loved it. We loved having you on. We really appreciate it. I don't know if you're our last one. We might have a couple more, but like this, we always love having everybody come on. We love hearing your side of the story, and you gave a lot of nice little behind the scenes tidbits.
Yeah, you gave some good side stories. Those were good.
And you called everybody in your phone.
Somebody said on my Twitter today, they said, watching the Survivor Specialist show has been better than watching the actual show. They said they've learned so much and experienced so much from this that it's Hey, Sierra.
Hi. Hi, Sierra.
Well, this is a first. We've never had Sierra on.
Can I put you on a webcast? I'm on a webcast right now, and I called you live.
You should have given him that.
Can you say hello? Okay.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hi.
It's Joe and Sierra.
What's up?
Why are you dressed in all white?
Well, we just had a photo shoot, and I was in a dress and cold, and this was Joe's extra shirt. So I'm just wearing my fiance's extra shirt. We're looking like weirdos twinning.
Which is the exact shirt he's wearing.
I was explaining how I love watching you on Instagram because every day it's like you're on the ranch and your love for each other and your story is beautiful. And so I was just calling. So
you're so sweet. We love you so much.
Love y'all.
Who are you on with right now?
It's a Survivor Specialist.
Oh, you're on with the specialist? Oh,
yes.
Shoot. Tell them all I said hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Not my specials.
All right. I love y'all.
Well, holy shit, that was cool.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. You see me said, okay, buddy, let's talk soon.
That was the biggest ego boost that I've ever had. But Joe just knew who we were, kind of. Maybe he was being nice.
Oh,
no, he knows. He knows.
Wow.
Hey, me and Joe have met. Okay, damn it. No, that's really cool. Well, I don't know if our fans are ever going to be more excited than the fact that Joe Anglim just had like half of his face on our podcast. So, Ron, I think we really should end here. I really do.
Unless Oprah's coming on, I think we peaked.
That was it.
Well, we really appreciated it. If you have anything last you want to say, or if Alexa, you want to just take us home.
Okay, I guess I'll take us home, unless there are more FaceTimes coming in. But Ron, thank you so much for coming on. We had a blast with you and our 4 to 6 additional guests. As Phil said, we might have a couple more interviews, but we're thinking that this probably will wrap up Survivor Edge of Extinction for us. What we are doing, if you guys still want to hear from us, for all of our $20 patrons, we're releasing twice weekly winner profiles, winner retrospectives for everyone who will allegedly possibly be playing in season 40. So become a $20 patron and listen to those. We've had a ton of fun. Otherwise, we have a lot more content coming out for you guys. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, and we will be back soon. And Ron, thank you so much for coming on. We loved having you.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for the platform you provide.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.